Chapter 945. Zhang Xiaobao replied to Baigo's words. He shook the fishing rod and let it float up and down in the water. He said to Baigo, "Grandpa Bai, do you not want to stay in the academy anymore? Are you unhappy?" "Yes, I am happy." Baigo retraced the line and threw the hook into the water. "What do you mean by happy?" "It's too happy. There are other academies in other places and the head stewards are always busy. Once your academy is settled properly, the stewards don't have to worry about it anymore. Just like your business, the rules are very detailed. Even those who don't know how to manage can manage it well by following the rules. I find time to teach you every day and have a good life." Later on, a bunch of old men came down from the imperial court and wanted to teach. It's good to have an old man in charge of other people's academies. But your Jinjia Academy is better. There are more people than classes and you can't squeeze in. Zhang Xiaobao understood. Grandpa Bai was the kind of person who couldn't find anything to do. He was so bored that he was annoyed. He then suggested, "Grandpa Bai, how about this? I'll arrange for all the old men to go out and let you have time to teach. There are many academies in Tang now, but there are not enough teachers. For example, in Hongnon County, the teachers in the small school don't even have the status of a high scholar. Even after studying for years, they can only memorize the Analects of Confucius. They can only explain a few things and then turn around and teach the children who can't read." Baigo listened to Zhang Xiaobao quietly and understood. Nowadays, schools for children to teach were all over Tang. Schools were not short of money. Merchants were greedy, but not only were they greedy for money, they were also greedy for benefits. According to Xiaobao, if there were benefits, they would dare to do it. In the end, the children were happy. In places where there were many merchants, the children's meals, clothes and utensils were compared. If you were in charge of 5 days of meals and made fat fish head to nourish the children every day, I would eat braised pork every day. Who was better than who? If not for Xiaobao's strict rules on the children's meals, the children would have become fat pigs by now. The local merchants were rich, and the schools were better than the other. There were not enough teachers, so those with a bit of knowledge dared to sit in the classrooms. According to Xiaobao, he intends to send the other old men to other academies. This, Baigo thought about it and denied it. "Xiaobao, that won't do. You don't understand us old geezers. In the past, when we fought in the imperial court, even if we didn't fight to the death, we were close to the point of swords and weapons. If it weren't for you and Cuckoo, we wouldn't have interacted with each other." He hadn't fought enough in the imperial court. What should he do? "Now that I'm at your place, you can continue to fight. Even in a game of chess, you have to fight for supremacy. If you arrange for others to leave the academy, who would be willing to do so? The main thing is that other academies are not as good as your Jinjia Academy. If you go elsewhere, it will be a fight between academies." Knowing that it was not enough, who would walk the path of certain defeat? Rules can be learned by your father. You can't learn from the confidence behind Cuckoo. The beautiful surroundings can be created as long as you have money. However, you can't create the awe-inspiring and strong character of Jinjia Academy. Many students are proud to be able to enter Jinjia Academy. Now no one in Jinjia Academy is here to waste time. They all feel that they don't have enough time. In the past, they competed about status and spending. Now they are competing about ability and knowledge. It's too vulgar to say that they are rich. No one dares to say that they are rich in your academy. Baigo's words made Zhang Xiaobao feel embarrassed. Although he knew that the academy that his family had set up Grandpa Bai had a bad reputation, he had to be humble. Of course, he also knew that the reason why a famous school was famous was not only because it occupied a large area and had good teachers, but also because of its foundation. For example, West Point, Cambridge, and other schools that were valued in China in the past and named Shuimujian and Tsinghua Academy. It seemed that in the future, his Jinjia Academy would also become Jinjia University. If it continued for 1,000 years, who would dare to refuse to accept it? Thinking of this, Zhang Xiaobao laughed to himself. Until Baigo repeatedly called out, "Xiaobao, a fish has bitten the bait." Zhang Xiaobao finally woke up from his dream. He looked at the water. Indeed, the fish was biting tightly, struggling to move the float up and down. He quickly held the bottom of the fishing rod with one hand and used the other hand to test the strength. A foot-long fish was pulled out of the water. Just as Zhang Xiaobao was about to throw the fish to the shore, the water splashed everywhere. A black shadow jumped out and went straight to the foot-long fish. Bai Go was shocked. His eyes widened instantly. Before he could see clearly what flew out of the water, his line of sight was blocked by Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao half-squatted in front of Bai Go with one leg in front and one leg behind. He held a black dagger in his left hand and a gray revolver in his right hand. He held it on his left forearm. He looked at the other guards around him. They were either squatting or lying down. They pointed their guns in all directions. Following the sound of something falling into the water, bubbles appeared on the surface of the water. Zhang Xiaobao stood up and put the gun back into the holster on his leg. He turned around and smiled at Bai Go. Haha, Grandpa Bai, it was a false alarm. It was a big black fish. Did it scare you? You scared me. I didn't see the fish at all. Bai Go said angrily. When he saw that the guards he brought were still confused, his anger burned even more. He lectured them. Look, I was counting on you to protect me. If a team like Xiaobao fought me, this old man would definitely die with a grievance. It's good, right? In the blink of an eye, you will have to say goodbye to this beautiful world. The butler, Chang Cheng, was shocked. He moved closer and whispered, Master, I have already asked the leader of the guards to take care of them. Usually they are not bad. There are not many teams in the world that can be as good as Jidushi Zhang's guards, right? Alright. When Xiaobao's team first came out, my guards were slightly better. Later, when they came to Shuzhou, my guards were slightly worse. Now let's not talk about it. Bai Go waved his hand dispiritedly. As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao began to take off his clothes. He took off his clothes until he was only wearing a pair of shorts. He held the dagger in his hand and said to Bai Go, Grandpa Bai, don't worry. I will go down and catch it. It is about 4 feet long and has become a demon. Don't say that your guards are not changing. They are not changing. As soon as Zhang Xiaobao's voice fell, he drew a beautiful arc in the air and plunged into the water with a splash. Bai Go curled his lips. My ass. If you don't practice, you will become a demon. You will not change until you die. Prepare the net for me. Do you expect other people's elites to do the work? The second half of Bai Go's sentence was directed at his guards. He directly regarded them as his assistants. He also understood why the emperor directly asked Xiaobei and the others to come over, and why Xiaobao and Cuckoo did not object. Xiaobei's 9 children's bodyguards, compared to Xiaobao's bodyguards, should only be stronger. Bai Go guessed correctly. Even Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not have the 2 fast gunmen that Watanabe Jichiro saw by Xiaobei's side. They only trained 2 qualified people and gave them to Xiaobei and the others. When Bai Go's guards pulled the net left and right, planning to help Zhang Xiaobao, the water on the surface of the water began to churn. There was a faint dark red color in the water. After a while, it stopped churning and spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. It waved its hand toward the shore. Its elbow was bent as it pushed something toward the shore. When the water became shallow, the figure of the black fish was revealed. Zhang Xiaobao threw it into the water and no longer cared about it. He swung his left arm and walked to the shore, cursing. Want to bite me? I broke its teeth and hit its face. The skin on its pads is broken. Bah. Zhang Xiaobao spat out another mouthful of blood. It seemed that his teeth were really broken. Bai Go saw Zhang Xiaobao was injured, so his face sank. If you don't have the ability, don't go down and show off. How old are you? You are still like a child. I didn't show off. I just wanted to catch a live one. Otherwise, how could I be hurt by it? Let's not talk about the black fish. Let's see if a small shark dares to eat me. Unfortunately, you can't eat fresh fish. Take it back and I'll make half-fresh sashimi for you. Zhang Xiaobao looked very regretful. In the end, he still stabbed the black fish to death. The person in charge of carrying the fish saw that the black fish's eyes were obviously not pierced by a dagger. There were only 2 deep holes left, and the eyeballs were gone. Zhang Xiaobao probably pierced them with his fingers. There were a few wounds on the black fish's head. Wei Wei moved a little, but it would not come back to life. Bai Go saw that Zhang Xiaobao was not seriously injured, so he pointed to the stool next to him. Let's send the fish back and chill it. Let's continue fishing. Where were we just now? The weather was not too cold, and it was almost noon. Zhang Xiaobao did not put on his clothes. He sat down in his pants and replied, We were talking about the academy. I said that my academy was good. I didn't ask you about the latter part, the former part, Bai Shu reminded him. Before that, you said that there were many old men, and that they were fighting for classes, so you had no classes. Before that. That's it. Before that, I asked you if the fish was too old to cook dishes. Is that true? Bai Go said it out by himself. Zhang Xiaobao tried to recall. It seemed that time had passed too quickly. When Bai Go was about to lose his patience, he finally showed a look of realization and said, Yes, Grandpa. You have a good memory, Grandpa Bai. That depends on what kind of fish it is. For example, the black fish we caught just now was about 4 feet long. It was definitely not young, and it tasted better. What if people are old? Can they only eat and wait for death? Bai Go said with a sigh. Oh. Zhang Xiaobao understood that Grandpa Bai was suffering from the aftereffects of retirement. In the past, he followed him everywhere. Later, when he went to the north, he could not take the old man with him. After a long time, the old man had nothing to do. People who had been officials for a long time were not like ordinary old people who could take care of their grandchildren. They always wanted to do things that were in line with their official status. Although between the clouds and the water in Sanshui County was good, it was not a place they could stay all year round. Grandpas all think so? Zhang Xiaobao asked as he clumsily assembled the fishing rod with one hand and tapped it on his face again and again. Everyone thinks so. Bai Go looked depressed. It's simple. If you want to find something to do, just send a telegram, or get someone to send a signal through the radio. I'll give you an idea. Why do you have to come here personally to fish? Zhang Xiaobao slapped his thigh and complained. Bai Go glared at him. If you don't come here, do you think this old man can't even walk? Tell me, what's the job? Is there a salary? Yes, there's a lot of money. They will take the initiative to give it to you. Our Tang Empire's tourism industry is booming now. There are many places in my house. You can go and take a group of old men there. When you reach a place, you can praise them. For example, the water is good, the mountains are beautiful. If you want to move your arms, write couplets, or compose poems, just the money to polish your pen will be 10 times more than others. Eat, drink, and play. You won't have to pay a single cent. After a while, our tourism industry will open up in Japan. There's also Xinlua. If you're not afraid of storms, you can also go there. Zhang Xiaobao did not need to think too much. His eyes turned, and ideas came out like a gushing spring. Bai Go did not care about his fishing rod. He felt that by the water, the autumn cold was heavy, which was the opposite of what Zhang Xiaobao thought was warm. He took out a flat glass bottle from his arms, shook the wine inside, unscrewed the cap and drank 2 mouthfuls. He exhaled deeply and said, I regret it. If I had known, I would have brought Yao with me. I'm too old. I can't play tricks on you young people. Grandpa Bai, you came here and asked me to give you an idea. I gave you an idea. How can you say that I'm playing tricks? You make me so sad. Zhang Xiaobao put the fishing rod on the shelf. When he waved his hand, someone brought him some clean water. He began to wipe his body so that he could change into dry pants later. Bai Go did not believe Zhang Xiaobao's words. If you're not sad, why do you have so many tricks? You took too long to recall just now. You even tapped your face a few times. Did I? Oh, the black fish hit me. It hurts, so I tapped it a little to stimulate the blood flow. It's the same as cupping and scraping when you're sick. Ice chips, give me ice chips. My face hurts more when I hear Grandpa Bai's words. Zhang Xiaobao splashed water on himself and asked someone to find ice chips for him. Bai Go gave Zhang Xiaobao a look of disbelief and asked, Tell me, what's your purpose other than to play? Grandpa Bai, you're wise. It's a long story. Make it short. Well, in fact, not all places in the Tang Empire are suitable for tourism. You always praise me for being smart. I won't let people waste money to invest. Firstly, tourism has requirements for roads. It's not too expensive to build roads, and it's not all cement roads. Rich people can go over and say that they're willing to fork out money and talk to the local people. The people who are free will take the initiative to build roads. You're in charge of the money for the gunpowder and food. The people are willing to build roads in front of their homes. The power of the people. Oh, the power of the people is very strong. They will quickly build a road that is cheap and convenient. The imperial court will then fork out money to build the main road, and all the roads will be connected. Zhang Xiaobao raised a finger and explained his original intention of developing tourism. What's the second reason? Bai Go felt that he was back in the yamen and asked. The second reason is that the Tang Empire has many special products and minerals. When I asked people to draw the map, I had already explored it. With the development of technology, there are more ways to explore. The resources that were not discovered in the past will be valued by the businessmen who invest money after the tourism industry. We'll note it down, but not mine. If we can plunder it, we must plunder it and leave some for our descendants. When technology reaches a certain level, there will be an explosion of resources. The Tang Empire wants to encourage plundering. Zhang Xiaobao was almost done washing. He stood there and waited for the clothes to dry. He raised another finger. Bai Go closed his eyes and pondered. After a while, Zhang Xiaobao changed his pants. He opened his eyes and said, "Yes, but what does it have to do with us going on a trip? Help you note down the location of the resources?" Something like that. When you go on a trip, bring professionals with you. Most importantly, Xiaobei is a patrol inspector of the Tang Empire, but she can't really put down her studies to patrol. My family's business is not omnipotent. When you go on a trip, help me take a look. I don't believe that you can be bribed. You just said that you've been fighting with each other. Whoever gets benefits will speak up for him. He can't afford to lose face, right? Zhang Xiaobao raised another finger. Bai Go nodded and signaled to Zhang Xiaobao to come closer. Zhang Xiaobao had just put on his clothes and came over with his eyes open. Bai Go grabbed Zhang Xiaobao's hand and pried open all 10 fingers. He said, "Don't wait for me to ask you one by one. Say it yourself. Say it all the way to the 10th finger." How can there be so many? Zhang Xiaobao was unhappy. Also, count in the toes. Bai Go did not let go. Chapter 946. Bai Go pestered Zhang Xiaobao and asked Zhang Xiaobao to tell him all his plans. Zhang Xiaobao, on the other hand, insisted that life was not easy. When he was asked too much, he would answer perfunctorily. For example, the purpose was to let a group of elders find local specialties during their trip and bring them back to him, so that he could consider whether he could plant them, especially the precious medicinal herbs. Such a small matter was not worth Zhang Xiaobao's attention. As for whether there were more important matters, of course there were, but Zhang Xiaobao did not want to tell Bai Go everything. Otherwise, when traveling, there would be too many things on his mind and the elders would not have a good time. Only when there was a need, Zhang Xiaobao would ask someone to send a message to the elders and ask them to help. Bai Go saw that he could not get an answer, so he could only give up temporarily and continue fishing. Today, he caught a grass carp and consecutively caught a few more grass carps. Finally, his interest was exhausted. He said that the other fish in the water had been eaten by the black fish, and went back with Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao accompanied Bai Go back to the yamen. At the same time, he asked someone to pull the net and catch a lot of fish. All kinds of freshwater fish added up to 300 catties. They brought it back as an extra dish for the guards at noon. In fact, Zhang Xiaobao was not the only one who ate fish. Hong Nong also specially formed a team to catch fish. When the water rushed, many fish directly flowed into the fields. When the water receded, it would be even more difficult for them to come out again. In places where the water was deep, they directly used nets. In places where the water was shallow, they rolled up their trousers and used hooks to fish. In other places, before the food Zhang Xiaobao gathered arrived, they boiled the fish into soup and let the laborers eat it with steamed buns or rice. Bai Go came in a hurry and received an answer. However, he could not rush back immediately. He found a job in the yamen as an accountant and used his remaining energy. During the day, he took an hour or so to walk around the streets where the water receded and see the bustling scene at the construction site. Every time he saw a commoner who worked hard, he would first sigh with emotion. Their families had been destroyed, and they had lost their relatives. Not a single one of them had ever complained. They were all working hard. The more this was the case, the more Baigo gritted his teeth as he looked at Yen Zheng, who was standing outside the south gate. He wished that he could use his knife to slice off Yen Zheng's flesh and cook it. However, he knew that it would only benefit Yen Zheng. Xiao Bei is really smart. She's a good child. Another day, Baigo arrived at the south gate. He looked at Yen Zheng, who was firmly tied up and exposed to the elements. Yen Zheng's hair was messy, his skin was cracked, his eyes were lifeless, and his mouth was puckered. He felt very relieved. The reason he praised Xiao Bei was because when Xiao Bei first saw Yen Zheng, he had his teeth knocked out and said that he would not let him die a quick death. If Xiao Bei hadn't been sensible at that time, it would have been too easy for him to kill Yen Zheng with one sentence. Yen Zheng was behind the south gate and had never seen Baigo up close. At this time, he saw that there was another person beside him who was still standing there. He thought that it was another person who had come to scold him. He struggled to turn his head to take a look. Perhaps he could gain some sympathy and leave a way out for his family. He saw an old man with a head full of white hair and a frosty beard. He stood there with his hands behind his back. He knew that he was not an ordinary person. He said in a hoarse voice that was almost inaudible, "One person's crime, one person's punishment. His family does not know." Baigo saw that the other party did not even know who he was and sighed. "Yen Zheng, do you still remember me?" You are?" Yen Zheng opened his eyes and looked at the person beside him. He suddenly realized. You are the Minister of Revenue, Crown Prince Zhanshi Baigo Bai. Long Zai. You are responsible for your own actions. I am the former Minister of Revenue. I was also the Hunan Magistrate. When I was the Hunan Magistrate, I did not encounter anything like Hong Nong. I admit that I am not a good person, but I am not as cruel as you. Don't tell me about your crimes. I don't care. Baigo had planned to scold him, but suddenly he was not in the mood. But, protect my children? In the next life. Don't mention the next life to me. I only ask about this life. I am a farmer. I can't protect anyone, let alone your children. If it were anyone else, I would not dare to protect them. His Majesty personally appointed Zhang Xiaobei, and the other 9 people here. Who dares to interfere? His Majesty's edict has been sent to Japan. His Majesty's edict will come out soon. If Japan dares to not let your family come back, Wang Wan dares to gather the elites of the Tang Empire and attack Japan with the help of the gunboats. She does not care about the blood staining the mountains and rivers. However, maybe Zhang Xiaobao will be soft-hearted and can be flexible. But you have to live like you are now. Otherwise, when you die, Zhang Xiaobao will make your family suffer for you. Eat and sleep as you should. Don't let others force you. Baigo threatened Yen Zheng and his family. Then he walked away with his hands behind his back. A glimmer of hope appeared in Yen Zheng's dim eyes. He shouted, I want to eat porridge, I want to live. Baigo really did not know. When they were on the train, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had discussed the countermeasures. They would pretend to drown Yen Zheng's family, but in fact they would take them far away from the Tang Empire. Zhang Xiaobao really did not want to kill Yen Zheng's daughter, but he was afraid that if he did not destroy the whole family, it would not be a deterrent. Baigo was afraid that Yen Zheng's mind could not keep up and he would die. In that case, he would not be able to show others. He needed him to live so that every official who worked in the local government could see him. In the Yamen, Zhang Xiaobao had just sorted out the files. This time, the officials of Hunan province were involved in the case. There were a total of 613 people, from the top to the bottom, from the top to the bottom, from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the bottom. Their crimes were different, and they could be sentenced to life or death. However, all of them had to be sent to Chang'an. Some were already on the way, while some nearby were temporarily locked up. A large number of people will be sent down. No matter how light their crimes are, after Li Longji's edict, he can't continue to be an official. I plan to put the people who passed the entrance exam of Jianzhou Academy in important positions. How should I tell Li Longji? Zhang Xiaobao put the list on the table and was worried. Wang Wan touched the list with her hand and shook her head. More than 600 people. It's shocking. It's really shocking. Okay, don't say that it's shocking. Hunan province is not Hunan province. There are other places such as Shandong. There are only 600 people. In the whole Hunan province, there are no less than 10,000 officials. I'm very relieved. It's not a big proportion, so I still dare to arrest them. What I'm most afraid of is that there is not a good official, which makes me worry about whom to arrest. Of course, if we meet an international swindler, we must arrest him. He is rich, but he doesn't have the foundation of the higher-ups. I'm not afraid of him because the higher-ups can clear his name. But this time, I won't arrest the Japanese. If I do, it will make me look too incompetent. Do I need to arrest them to deal with them? I can cooperate with you to attack Japan because I don't like it, but I will never admit that I don't have the ability to directly attack a small figure who can't be found wrong. In the Great Tang, we must destroy a country when we attack, instead of fighting with words. Zhang Xiaobao's face was full of disdain. He shook his head like a teacher. Go and cook. Yesterday, Xiaobei asked people to send a lot of willow mushrooms from Old Willow Village. I want to eat willow mushrooms stewed with chicken. When Wang Wan heard that Zhang Xiaobao was going to talk about something else, she quickly asked him to cook. When Zhang Xiaobao walked to the back kitchen, she said, "If the country is not good, who do you blame? Every man has a responsibility. If the country is righteous, it will not change. If the country is not righteous, it will not change until death. I'm just saying. I didn't change. Don't you know how I spent the money I swindled? Some officials are not as good as me. They changed first. Willow mushrooms stewed with chicken? Even Xiaobei can't say such a stupid thing. If willow mushrooms stewed chicken, what about hazel mushrooms and pine mushrooms? These are mushrooms that grow on real willow trees. The children of Old Willow Village gave them to Xiaobei. On average, several willow trees can produce one mushroom, and I stewed it? Wait, I'll make malatang today. People say that there are 3,000 willow branches. Willow mushrooms should be boiled to eat. Stewed dishes should be eaten with the soup. Boiled dishes should be eaten fresh. Boiled dishes should be eaten fresh. And eaten with willow mushrooms should be eaten fresh and tender. If you don't believe me, you can boil the pine mushrooms, which are red mushrooms, to see how they taste and taste. How is this the Tang Dynasty? I'm a man full of talent, but I'm actually ordered around as a cook. The human heart is not what it used to be. It's really not what it used to be. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and pushed the door open, leaving Wang Wan sitting there and laughing. After laughing, she looked at the back of the kitchen and murmured sweetly, "I'm bullying you. Full of talent? I think you're full of evil tricks. Not to mention the Tang Dynasty, even if you run to the primitive society, you'll still have to cook for me. I'm depending on you, humph." Since they said they were going to eat malatang for lunch, they definitely had to eat it. However, Zhang Xiaobao was not stupid enough to make all the skewers himself. He found a few helpers to make the skewers, and he made the malatang soup himself. All kinds of things that could be used as traditional Chinese medicine were fried as seasonings. He also asked someone to extract pepper oil. He didn't use oil to fry pepper, but squeezed out pepper oil like how he squeezed bean oil. After that, he used lamb bones to make soup. When the soup was done, he used chicken to make soup. Then, he used another pot to make crucian carp soup. Finally, he mixed them together and used them to make malatang soup. Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to make soup with water and seasonings. Zhang Xiaobao was busy preparing the ingredients for the malatang soup. Just then, Bai Shu came back. As soon as he entered the door, he took a deep breath and praised, "It smells good. The crucian carp that I caught with great difficulty yesterday is not cooked, right? I plan to raise it in a wooden basin and eat it." "Grandpa Bai, the crucian carp you mentioned was made into soup by Xiaobao." Wang Wan immediately complained. Bai Shu looked at the soup and shook his head. "No, the crucian carp is milky white. Don't bully this old man because I don't understand. Your soup doesn't count the color of the seasonings and chili oil. It should be clear soup." Zhang Xiaobao came in with a plate of mushrooms. He pursed his lips and said, "Grandpa Bai, have you ever seen anyone who doesn't have clear soup? If you don't believe me, don't eat it first." I will continue to make the soup into clear soup for you. I believe you, I believe you. This old man is hungry and can't afford it. Even if you say you're going to change the lake you and Kaiwan bought in Anshi from a saltwater lake to a freshwater lake, this old man will believe you. Bai Shu didn't care how Xiaobao made it. As long as there was something to eat, he believed that Xiaobao would make it delicious even if it was a simple scrambled egg with garlic sprouts. A small plate was placed in front of Bai Shu, who had just freshened up. There were tahini sauce, shrimp sauce, oyster sauce, a little bit of yellow wine and fermented bean curd, as well as chopped green onions and minced garlic. There were also rows of small bowls with various things in them, such as ginger juice for seafood, coriander and pepper paste for mutton, wasabi and soy sauce for sashimi, and so on. Wang Wan chose the seasonings herself. Zhang Xiaobao's plate was simple. There was only garlic sauce. Although hundreds of seasonings were made by him, he didn't like to eat them. He put some soy sauce and garlic because there was mutton liver in the mutton soup. Otherwise, he wouldn't put anything. If it was bland, he would put some salt. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Wan had a heavy appetite and liked to eat things with strong flavors, he would have made a seafood hot pot with clear soup. He would only eat that fresh and not even salt, or eat it raw after killing the bacteria and parasites. Bai Shu was enjoying himself. He didn't care how little Xiaobao put in the seasonings. He knew that Xiaobao's mastery of seasonings was unparalleled. It was the same for cooking. He didn't put in things if he could. He emphasized that the big things were invisible, and the big things were silent. Ah. Ooh. Wine, put more ice fish. Ah. Spicy. Xiaobao, there are only 5 days left until the fall imperial examination. You should be back in the capital, right? Ah. Bai Shu put sesame oil and chili oil in the plate and kept breathing. Beside him, someone also had to serve him wine with ice at any time. Zhang Xiaobao was very helpless with Bai Shu's behavior. He said, "I'll be back tomorrow." Then he got up and went to make cucumber skin and stir-fried bamboo shoots for Bai Shu. He was really afraid that Bai Shu would have problems with the spiciness. All kinds of materials had been sent to Hongnong. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have time to follow them, so the inner courtyard took over. The people of the Senangxi temple came early and signed a contract with the local people who had land. After the new seeds were planted, no matter how much they were produced, they couldn't be eaten by the people. Secondly, they couldn't be sold by the people. They had to be handed over to the people of the Senangxi temple. If the yield was high, they would spread it elsewhere next year. If the yield was low, they would bring it back for research. The people only had to serve and get paid. The Senangxi temple had money. The people in charge of building the railway had already planned the place. Wherever the railway passed, no farming, no building, and no deliberate destruction or digging. There was also a large area where the market would be built in the future. They circled a large area for farming temporarily. If necessary, they could dig it up at any time. In Old Willow Village, Xiaobei and the others waited for the person in charge of taking care of the children. They packed their bags and brought many dolls to be sold in the capital. They said goodbye to the other children with tears in their eyes. Xiaobei made an agreement with the other party. When the weather warmed up next year, either the 9 of them would come or get the children to play in the place where she lived. In the future, every time someone came to pick up the dolls and send them elsewhere to be sold, they would bring all kinds of seafood. Early the next morning, Xiaobei's team rushed to the train station and met up with her brother's team. They boarded the train and headed for the capital amidst the rumbling sound. "Brother, didn't you see that guy called Shuichiro Watanabe? He's a fool and wants to treat others as fools. He wants to bribe us with 300,000 strings of cash every year. Tell me, what can I do?" Xiaobei sat opposite her brother and rolled a boiled egg on the table in the middle, showing off her cleverness to her brother. "You can't do it. Our family's Xiaobei isn't stupid. Eat it quickly. You promised to eat a boiled egg a day. I heard that you didn't do it thoroughly when you were in Old Willow Village." Zhang Xiaobao pointed at the egg in his sister's hand and wanted to take it and peel it. Xiaobei hurriedly stretched out her hands to protect it. Wait a moment. Let me adjust my mood and eat it with spicy sauce, okay? Brother, who told you that I didn't eat the egg? I said it was a joint report and a fingerprint. Do you want to take a look? Do you need to adjust your mood to eat a boiled egg? Throw it outside the train. I'll make you steamed egg cream. Zhang Xiaobao was about to get up and go to the dining car of the train. No, I don't like to eat the yolk of boiled eggs. I like to eat salted eggs. I'll drink some water and eat it. I can't throw it away. I won't look at the joint name anymore. Actually, I know who it is. Whoever cares about me is the one who told you first. Brother, can you think of a way to make the yolk of boiled eggs better? You're so good. Xiaobei couldn't bear to throw away an egg. She knew that there were people who couldn't eat eggs, so she turned around and gave her brother a difficult problem. She felt that it was very difficult. Unexpectedly, her brother Zhang Xiaobao didn't think much and immediately nodded. Yes, it's very simple. Cut the boiled egg, and take out the yolk first. Stuff the concave area between the two egg whites with meat stuffing, and cover the yolk. Put the yolk where the egg whites are fried until they're golden brown. Steam the stuffing and pour the juice over them after they're cooked. Both the yolk and the yolk will be delicious. Do this in the future, and make all 9 of you together. Xiaobei nodded repeatedly as she listened. Her eyes were full of worship. For the sake of eating yolk, they could do so much. Wang Wan took Xiaobei's egg and peeled it. She said to Xiaobei, "Look at how much your brother spoils you." Xiaobei, I heard that you almost compromised with that Shuichiro Watanabe. Xiaobei took the peeled egg and dipped it in the chili sauce that was brought over. She took a bite and swallowed it. She said, I thought he was going to take out 100 million strings of cash, not 100 million won. I was so happy at first, but who knew that a poor thing like him couldn't take it out? It made me angry. In the future, if there's a situation like this where someone really gives you 100 million strings of cash, we don't want it, Zhang Xiaobao said. Xiaobei didn't understand. Why? He gave me 100 million strings of cash to atone for his crime. It'd be a waste not to take it. Xiaobei, let big sister ask you. Did he take out money to bribe the people of the Tang Empire, because he harmed them? Wang Wan asked. Xiaobei nodded. That's why we can't take that money. Look at your brother. He's never used the premise of harming the people of the Tang Empire to earn money. Wang Wan continued to teach. What's the connection? Xiaobei clearly didn't understand. There's a connection. Xiaobei, Xiaohai, all of you remember this. Your brother has countless unconventional methods to earn money, but he hasn't used any of them in the Tang Empire. If he's really using methods that harm the interests of the Tang Empire to earn money, your brother doesn't need to borrow the hands of others. Their little tricks are not worth mentioning in front of your brother. Wang Wan smiled smugly and pointed at Zhang Xiaobao as she spoke to the 9 children. Really? So the Japanese aren't powerful? Xiaobei looked at her brother as if she had found a new toy. Japanese? Your brother doesn't even need to do anything about the Japanese's little tricks. I'll deal with them. It's just a small trick. But I've never seen futures and warrants before. Moreover, the Japaneses are full of loopholes. Xiaobei, do you still remember the world in the story I told you? Wang Wan looked down on the Japanese and asked Xiaobei. I remember. They're so powerful. The people from that world have huge iron birds in the sky that can even throw things to the moon. If a few people from that world come to our great Tang, will you and Big Brother be able to deal with them? Xiaobei blinked her eyes. Her mind was filled with the pictures that Wang Wan had described to her. She was very worried. Wang Wan curled her lips and said disdainfully, There are indeed powerful people there, but even they tremble when they know that their opponent is your brother. Among that group of people, your brother may not be the first, but no one dares to treat him as the second. Over there, if your brother were to go bankrupt, countless of his enemies would follow him and lose everything. So, in the future, if someone uses the premise of harming the interests of the Tang Empire to bribe you, we won't accept any amount of money. Our family's money needs to be earned steadily. When the land produces more, there are more livestock and poultry, and there are more things we plunder from the outside. Our family's money will naturally increase. Xiaobei's blood boiled when she heard this. Sister, so my brother is so powerful, but how did you know? We haven't competed. Ha, you and my brother don't come from that world, do you? Xiaobei told the truth. You guessed right. Your brother and I come from that world to protect you guys. If we don't come, who will pamper you, right? Wang Wan followed Xiaobei's words. Yes, yes, then you can go to a more powerful world. Remember to take me with you. I want to compete with them. I want to stand on the sword and fly to the world where the stars are. At that time, I will have the universe suppressing wheel in my left hand, the star 8 trigrams banner in my right hand, and my feet. Xiao Bei entered her own fantasy and told her brother and sister about the dream she had created. The full moon shone in the sky. As soon as the train arrived at the station, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan immediately led their younger siblings into the palace. The palace gate, which should have been closed, was left open. Li Longji was still awake and waiting in Xingqing Palace. He wanted to get the latest news and the most accurate details from Zhang Xiaobao and the rest. After all, the news that came previously couldn't be too specific. Xiao Bei represented the 9 children and was the first to speak. She told Li Longji how she received the order to rush to Hongnong immediately, how she swam across the water and saw a child from the school. Then she told him how Yin Zheng tried to cheat her and how she taught him a lesson. She even promoted the dolls from Old Willow Village to Li Longji. Finally, she mentioned that she had lent him 1.3 million strings of cash. Li Longji listened to Xiao Bei's introduction and was furious. He said a few harsh words directed at the officials and praised Xiao Bei and the rest. However, he seemed to have forgotten about the 1.3 million strings of cash that Xiao Bei had mentioned. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to explain the reconstruction situation to Li Longji, Xiao Bei stuck close to Xiao Yuan and muttered, "It's obvious that he doesn't want to return the money to us. Let's bring a few more dolls tomorrow and exchange them with the concubines in the palace. Even the worst of their things costs more than dolls. I knew he wouldn't give it to us. He'll probably stay at home and study tomorrow. Don't think about coming out. How much money can we get by exchanging dolls? When we were on the train, didn't brother say that he wanted to build an amusement park under our management? That's the most profitable. After the Japanese compensate us, perhaps brother will give us the money." Xiao Yuan had an expression that said, "I understand." Xiao Bei hesitated and said, "Brother, if you really give us the money, let's not take it. When I said that I would take the money, I didn't expect anyone to return it. You guys support me, right?" "Yes, we support you. But if the Japanese compensate us, why don't we take it? We have money. The next time no one pays us back, we'll take it out. Otherwise, if we encounter an emergency again, we won't have any money to use." Xiao Yuan expressed her opinion. "All right, if they really compensate us, we'll take it. Tonight, we'll go back and sleep. After we've slept enough, we'll discuss the matter of the amusement park tomorrow. I plan to take out our small house and rent it out." Xiao Bei also began to plan to work hard to earn money. "That's agarwood. We can build it according to our house using other wood. As for the decorations inside, we can replace them with cheap things." Xiao Yuan was obviously reluctant to rent the house to other children. "That's true. We'll think of other ways." Xiao Bei lowered her head and fell into deep thought. Zhang Xiaobao was still talking to Li Longji. He didn't mention too much about the captured officials. He didn't need to care about them when they were sent to the capital. He needed Li Longji to cooperate and put pressure on the Japanese to send 200,000 railway workers to the Great Tang as soon as possible. He also needed to improve the tariff system so that they could engage in unequal economic trade and plunder more. Li Longji listened attentively and had people take note of it one by one. Now, under the influence of Zhang Xiaobao, he had become more pragmatic. He wasn't good at boasting about his reputation. He was willing to build up his reputation. The so-called building up his reputation was what Zhang Xiaobao told him. If he had money, he could build as tall as he wanted and as grand as possible. When he had nothing to do, he could travel and experience the magnificence of the rivers and mountains. He could go to Hainan and experience the winter and summer scenery. He could also play sea fishing and personally go to Lake Tai to fish for crabs. He could also look at the tides in Qiantang and go to the grasslands to admire the clear skies. This was his reputation. Compared to giving a lot of money to his subordinates and having them call him a fool behind his back, it was better to spend the money himself. Li Longji was fooled just like that. If someone were to ask him who was the best person in Great Tang, he would definitely say himself. The next person would be Zhang Xiaobao. The other officials were all afraid of him spending money. They had to persuade him to build a garden, or go out for a stroll. How could they be compared to Zhang Xiaobao? Not only did he not persuade him, he even encouraged him and thought of ways to get money. Even if the imperial court couldn't fork out the money, he was willing to fork out the money himself. Thus, in order to go against that powerful country in the future, in order to be able to travel and build beautiful houses, Li Longji placed more and more importance on technology and money. Oh, he was placing more and more importance on the development of technology and economy. As for the construction of spiritual civilization, Zhang Xiaobao wasn't worried about it. Great Tang had very strict requirements in this regard. If a person did something immoral and was criticized by others, their face would turn red. The emperor also knew that if an official didn't do a good job and the people in the area suffered, he would have to issue an edict of guilt. Li Longji hadn't learned the ability to be righteous and not admit his wrongdoings. In Zhang Xiaobao's heart, he was a good emperor. Xiaobao. While Li Longji was imagining how fragrant the pie Zhang Xiaobao painted for him was, he asked, "Is it because once the railway is built, it will take less time to go from the capital to the north of Hebei province, and there won't be too many guards?" "Your Majesty, you can't just think about going to the north of Hebei province. There aren't many good sceneries there. You can see the ice shallows, the fish breaking through the ice, the snow and dew, the tigers roaring, the mountains quiet, and the horses galloping." Zhang Xiaobao belittled the northeast. Wang Wan immediately played along. Xiaobao is right. Moreover, the north of Hebei province isn't very beautiful. It's nothing more than the scenery of the northern country. Thousands of miles are covered in ice and thousands of miles are fluttering in snow. The mountains and rivers there aren't very beautiful, although it has attracted countless heroes. Xiaobao, tell me the truth. How long will it take to go there? After the railway is built? Li Longji was tempted by the two people's words. Let me estimate. According to the current power of the steam engine, it will take about 10 days to go from Chang and to Jili province. There is a place in Jili province where the sand is fine and the distance to the shallow water is very long. There are white seagulls as light as clouds and silver fish as hanging quilts under them. The reef is not beyond the horizon and pearls are in the clam everywhere. Zhang Xiaobao said casually and then said to Wang Wan, "You've seen too much of it, right?" Wang Wan nodded. Not far, not far. It's only 10 days. Plus the sightseeing, 1 month is enough. We can go there next time. At this moment, Li Longji wished he could grow a pair of wings and fly there to have a look. Zhang Xiaobao struck while the iron was hot. Your Majesty, the Tang Empire is yours. Isn't it easy for you to go there? You're the emperor. It's normal for the emperor to look at his own empire. 10 days is too slow to travel to Jili province. The new steam engine is coming out soon. When the time comes, even if you go to Luzhou, as long as the railway is built, I guarantee that you'll reach there in 5 days. That's right, Your Majesty. When you reach Luzhou, you'll be able to see the real blue sea and silver sand. You'll be able to see the coconut grove at night, the sea and the sky merging into one, and the fishing boats singing at night. Wang Wan chimed in. Li Longji knew that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were tempting him, but he also knew that they were not lying. The place they were talking about was indeed beautiful. That's right. I'm the Emperor of Tang. Why can't I go there and have a look? It was just money. The imperial court's treasury was getting more and more money. Even if the officials objected, Xiaobao's family was rich. Spending some of his money would not make him poor. Especially with the radio station, where could he not govern? With that thought in mind, Li Longji asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, if the imperial court can't pay for the railway, will your family?" Li Longji did not finish his words, but his meaning was clear. Xiaobei pouted at the side. "Xiao Yuan, how can you do that? Uncle Emperor didn't mention our money, and he wants our family to pay for it. Fortunately, I can make money. What if I can't?" Xiao Yuan smacked his lips. "If brother can't make money, we'll have to live a hard life. We won't have so many guards when we go out. The inner court can't change shifts every few hours. We'll have to work from morning to night. It's terrifying just thinking about it." Perhaps Xiaobei was thinking about the consequences of not having money. He was so scared that his face turned pale. He said fearfully, Fortunately, life now is not a dream. Zhang Xiaobao could not hear his younger brother and sister's words. After Li Longji finished speaking, he replied, Your Majesty, if you need my family to pay for it, my family will definitely do so. However, my family and the national treasury do not need to spend money. It's very simple to raise the cost of the railway. Money is not a problem. Li Longji nodded. We like to hear Xiaobao speak. The servants around them agreed. Who wouldn't like to hear Zhang Xiaobao say that money is not a problem? Then go and get it done as soon as possible. Li Longji urged. Your Majesty, the matter of money is easy to solve. The Great Tang Bank has a lot of money. If you don't want the money, I'll help you with the operation. The annual profits won't be any less than the national treasury. Furthermore, when the deposit, withdrawal, and loan reserves reach a certain ratio, there's a lot of money that can be withdrawn at any time. In fact, the railway can be directly issued with bonds. Once the railway is built, the trains can be operated. Whether it's transporting people or goods, as long as there's not too much personal profit involved, and there's not too much that's harmful to the public's interests, the railway can be quickly recovered. So, Wang Wan continued. So Your Majesty, in the future, when you look for Xiaobao, don't worry about money. Xiaobao is afraid of many things, but he's not afraid of a lack of money. Xiaobao's meaning is that if the railway is built, people will die. Parents will lose their children, wives will lose their husbands, and children will lose their fathers. For a family, this is too heavy a burden. The reason why I fight so viciously is because I want to intimidate others so that in the future, I won't fight so many battles. Not fighting doesn't mean that I'm afraid. I just don't want to do it. If you force me to do it, Great Tang's men don't lack hot-bloodedness. If Great Tang's soldiers arrive at a city and surrender, they will be provided with food, clothing, medical care, and education. If Great Tang's soldiers arrive at a city and don't surrender, the city will be destroyed and slaughtered. Wang Wan's first words made Li Longji feel very gratified, but the second half was a bit frightening. Li Longji knew that Wang Wan valued the lives of her soldiers. She gave them a lot of compensation, so much so that some people were willing to take the initiative to die in battle. And Zhang Xiaobao was ruthless, not caring about internal matters. Thus he said, With Cuckoo here, I'm worried about Great Tang. Didn't you say that 200,000 people would come from Japan to build the railway? Not enough. How about this? There are still the strong Kunlun slaves. I'll think of a way to get people from other places to help build the railway. My Great Tang's people can just watch from the side. How about it? Zhang Xiaobao didn't care about how history evaluated Li Longji. He only knew that the Li Longji in front of him made him feel very comfortable. He was the emperor, so he had to act like one. What kind of emperor was an emperor if he didn't love the people? With Your Majesty's words, this subject will forge steel. Even if I have to use part of Great Tang's reserves, if Your Majesty can mobilize 1 million non-Tang craftsmen for this subject will make a military pledge. Within a year, this subject will build 30,000 li of railway. This subject isn't worried about money, but this subject is afraid that there won't be enough manpower. Zhang Xiaobao said fiercely. 1 million workers to build 30,000 li of railway? On average, 100 people would need to build 3 li of railway a year. 3 li, not 3 kilometers, was less than 1,500 meters, or 1,400 meters. 100 people couldn't build 4 meters in a day? Li Longji did not want Zhang Xiaobao to make a military pledge. He said, There's no need for that. Just do your best. How far can you go with 30,000 li of railway? From the capital to Jili province, and from the capital to Luzhou, we can still build other places. Zhang Xiaobao did some calculations and felt that there was still some left. Can we go to Tubo? Li Longji asked again. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head like a rattledrum. That place doesn't have the technology to build railways. If you want to go, it's better to take a boat. Wang Wan nodded as well. Tubo won't do. Moreover, it's impossible to cross the Yellow River and the Yangtze River by bridge. We'll have to change to a boat. Chapter 947. When Li Longji saw that Zhang Xiaobao was adamant about not being able to build a railway to Tibet, Wang Wan chimed in as well. She seemed very disappointed. In truth, he wanted to build a railway with Chang, and as the center and extend to the entire Great Tang. At that time, he would be able to transport goods during normal times and soldiers during wartime. He would also be able to roam around everywhere. The main reason was that it was convenient. He believed that with the development of technology, trains would be able to run faster. Then every trip he made would be like a trip to the hibiscus garden. If there were enemies at the borders, he would be able to deploy his troops from Chang and to Lingnan. The fastest time he could take would be 10 or even 8 days. When he thought about this, Li Longji could not help but think about the problem of another country that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's master, who was in hiding, had mentioned. Xiaobao, it's rumored that there's a very powerful country. Apart from being able to fire cannonballs from Luzhou to the capital, how fast is that country's troops? Can they reach Luzhou in 5 days? 5 days. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan in shock. Wang Wan replied to Zhang Xiaobao with a Li Longji is already daring enough expression and helped Zhang Xiaobao to answer. Your Majesty, it's said that they can reach Luzhou in 1 day, including when they receive the news, order the troops to be deployed, prepare the weapons and supplies, arrive at the location, set up the defensive line, and complete the first wave of suppressive attacks. Don't tell me they can fly? Li Longji suddenly felt his joy fade away, and a sense of pressure washed over him. Fly? Why would they need a day to fly? I only have a rough guess. Wang Wan did not dare to tell Li Longji how fast her and Xiaobao's troops were. A day? A day was enough for a bomber to bomb a country on the other side of the world twice. Li Longji panted heavily and gradually relaxed. He thought about it. What else can I do? Fear alone would not solve the problem. Speeding up development was the most important thing. When the time came and the military could not keep up, he could at least submit to them. Xiaobei whispered to little Yuan. Is there really a powerful country? Perhaps. Xiao Yuan didn't dare to be sure. He then said something very philosophical. When we use a small stick to push aside a small stone to look at the ants hiding behind it, perhaps someone is thinking of pushing aside the earth to observe the sun that is like a firefly in their eyes. What about the moon? Xiaobei began to worry. Seeing that Li Longji had nothing else to do for the time being, Zhang Xiaobao said, Your Majesty, it's already late. Your Majesty should rest early. The technical department is currently researching something that's even more useful than the steam engine. They're also thinking of a way to refine petroleum. When that time comes, our military's combat strength will be further improved. Good. Tomorrow morning, I will order the Supreme Court, the Censorate, and the Ministry of Justice to interrogate criminals. It's time for the fall quarter examinations. You and Cuckoo should rest well for the next few days. Li Longji was so agitated that he was no longer sleepy. He could not think of anything to say, so he waved his hand and ordered someone to send Zhang Xiaobao and the rest out of the palace. Zhang Xiaobao was in a good mood. He even made a few snacks such as stir-fried squid, grilled mutton, and other snacks that could be eaten as teeth-grinding snacks. He brought his younger siblings to eat supper, washed up, and then went to bed. There were still 3 days before the fall quarter examinations. The news of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan returning to the capital spread like wildfire. Some of the candidates who participated in the fall quarter examinations were happy, while others were disappointed. Those who were happy wanted to show off their talents. Even if the top scorer had already been decided, they could still fight for second place. Because of Zhang Xiaobao's participation, the second place in the fall quarter examinations might become the top scorer in the hearts of others. Those who were disappointed were easy to understand. They did not intend to pass the examinations this time. They just wanted to familiarize themselves with the atmosphere of the examinations. Free food and lodging for a month did not seem to be enough. Chang'an was expensive. There were even some candidates who took advantage of the time to go sightseeing. They belonged to the category of people who were well off and did not care about saving money for free food and lodging. On the afternoon of the third day, near the evening, they organized academies near Chang and sent their students to the capital. Just as the evening lights were about to be lit, A large ship sailed from the west on the waterway south of Chang, and the flag on the ship fluttered in the wind, welcoming the afterglow of the setting sun. The words Jianjia could be seen on the flag. Immediately, the noise at the docks disappeared. The students did not make a sound because they wanted to see how the people from the Jianjia Academy looked like. Usually, the teacher and the teacher often talked about the Jianjia Academy. It made people feel unsatisfied and wanted to compete. Sanshui County had a waterway that led directly to the capital. Seeing that the Jianjia Academy did not take the shortcut instead of the main road, they did not know what to do. The workers at the docks were silent because this was the first time they saw a large ship on the water. They had seen many bigger ships in the past. However, no matter how many ships they had seen, they could not compare to the ship in front of them. The ships they had seen in the past were either for trade or goods. There were countless cables on them, and most of them were worn out. There were officials and rich people on them, and they were as bright as spring. There were also soldiers in formation, and they were as black as iron. The ship that was approaching the shore gave people a special feeling, but they could not tell the specific difference at the moment. The color dyed the fruits of autumn, like leaves and branches. When the wind blows, the glow is warm. It is soft but not soft. It is hard but not dissatisfied. It is end but not strong. It is clustered but not tight. Before the dance, the heart is moved. It is surging without waves. In a trance, the sky echoes far away. It gives people the feeling like a student was helping the workers at the docks analyze the differences between the incoming ships. Towards the end, he didn't know how to describe it. Beside him, there was a child holding a yellow bristle grass in his hand. He jumped over and continued the student's words. Like the Jianjia Academy, the white dew is frost. The so-called lover is on the other side of the water. Yes, that's right. How is the layout of the attic on the ship arranged? How are the colors applied? It actually gives people the feeling of spring and autumn, as if it has lived through the 4 seasons, and has never forgotten the cold and warmth. This is the Jianjia Academy. The student shook his head and sighed. He was not facing the sharpness, but the depth. The ship and the water were in harmony. It was both distant and near. The ship of the Jianjia Academy slowly approached the shore in silence and anticipation. It was only when someone on the ship called that the workers at the docks woke them up. They were busy throwing ropes and helping. When the ship came to a stop, a staircase came down and people began to walk from the ship to the shore. The students of Jianjia Academy lined up in 2 rows and walked down steadily step by step. Their eyes were clear and unbiased. They were neither arrogant nor pretentious. Just like the ship they had just seen, they were calm and unperturbed. The people on the shore stared at them. They saw that the people from Jianjia Academy were wearing brown shoes and bright gray robes. When they walked, they could see that they were wearing light black pants. Their hair was tied up loosely with a silk scarf on their heads. On their chests, there was a light green word Jianjia. When all the students of the Jianjia Academy got off the ship, they split into groups and boarded the carriages that came to pick them up. So this is the famous Jianjia Academy. A student stared at the people of the Jianjia Academy without blinking. When the carriages moved toward the city gate and gradually became small dots, he said enviously. Yes. Another student said. While we were worrying about whether we could pass the exam, they already knew how to be an official. It has been 7 years. Not a single person from the Jianjia Academy who came to take the exam failed, and I have never heard of anyone resigning. The only one who left his position was the county magistrate, who commanded the people to save themselves on the banks of the Wei River during the heavy snow 5 years ago. He died from overwork. After that, the Jianjia Academy immediately added a class to recover a lot of energy through a short period of deep sleep. The Jianjia Academy is called the Jianjia Academy for a person. The Tao is vast, but it is in the center of the water. The arrival of the students of the Jianjia Academy made some of the students who wanted to take advantage of the fall quarter examinations lose confidence. The students who had not seen it with their own eyes at the docks heard that more than 100 people from the Jianjia Academy had come this time. With them here, the requirements for admission would definitely be raised. They were under great pressure. The scholars of the Jianjia Academy had no time to care about what others thought. After they were arranged to stay in a courtyard with 4 entrances behind the savant's restaurant, they bathed, ate, and rested for a while. Then they received the information sent by Zhang Xiaobao. The content of the information was about the current situation in Hunan province. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan listed some ideas and asked them to look at them and improve or change them. The scholars looked at the information very seriously. To them, compared to the matters arranged by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the fall quarter examinations were not that important. This was because the two of them needed people who could succeed when faced with adversity, not people who only had good results, but would say that they had not adapted to the situation when it came to concrete matters. Only when the sun was about to rise, and those who had memorized the contents of the materials, and had their own ideas fell asleep one by one. At noon, Zhang Xiaobao brought a few chefs over to personally cook for the students. There were a total of 120 scholars in this year's fall quarter examinations. A portion of them were lacking in various aspects, so they continued to struggle and study in preparation for next year's spring quarter examinations. Because the Great Tang had developed too quickly in recent years, many officials could not keep up with the pace. Thus, Li Longji was not satisfied. After discussing with Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan and 10 some other important officials, they decided to change a batch of officials. As a result, there would be imperial examinations every year. Some of them even had the ability to do things, but they did not understand the various scriptures well enough. Thus, they were given a chance to become an official. As for the previous officials, they would have to relearn something like the party school. The shortest would be half a year, and the longest would be 3 years. They would be paid, and the land that was given to them would not be taken back. Those who had completed their studies would be rearranged. Those who still could not complete their studies would be given a pension and allowed to retire. Thus, those who had the ability and the will to fight were not afraid of not having a chance. Zhang Xiaobao did not care too much about the details. The reason why he asked for a chef to come was because he did not want to let the 120 scholars eat from the same big pot. Otherwise, he would just take a spade and choose a big pot to cook for 120 people. It was very easy to cook 1 dish per pot. In the past, when he was in the labor camp to learn new skills, he had done this many times. I don't have money. The food in there is really not good. Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan, who had come over to watch him while he was cooking. Why is it not good? Wang Wan did not understand clearly enough. Let's talk about the food first. It makes people speechless. Zhang Xiaobao weighed the dish with a spoon and then put the chopped green onions into the oil. Eat cornbread. Wang Wan was puzzled. You wish. How expensive is the corn flour? How big is the price of 2 cornbread per person? It makes people look like they are being abused. What we eat is the sponge cake. The sponge cake is big, and we use the worse flour. As long as it is fermented well, we won't be able to tell anything from the appearance. When we are cooking, we use whatever is cheap. If there is an early morning market nearby, it will save money. We can pick up some vegetable leaves and get some coarse salt. Have you seen the frozen chicken rack? The cost is 80 cents to 1 renminbi per chicken. Many people buy them because they are not a good breed of dog. Put 2 in a pot and fry the vegetables until they are done. Finally, scoop a spoon of gutter oil and pour it into the pot to stir. Well, this is called the oil slick. When Zhang Xiaobao was talking, he put the spoon out of the pot. Wei Wei followed the spoon. The charcoal fire below was strong enough. With a whoosh, the whole pot was on fire. Wang Wan felt distressed and said, "You only eat that? I won't eat it. I've tasted it twice, and I won't eat it in the future. Only poor people eat it. I'll give some of the money I stole to discipline them, and they'll be treated well. What's the point of being a leader? I'll respect whoever can teach me some skills, and I'll beat those who can't. If you are so good, why are you still cooking? I am still moving bricks. My body needs exercise." The vegetables in Zhang Xiaobao's hands were done. He washed the pot, put in the oil again, and prepared to cook. Listening to you, it is quite interesting. Wang Wan's knowledge of that place came more from the publicity. She had not experienced it personally. It is a pity that you don't have a chance to try it. Over there, the rich are the masters and the poor can't fight. Even if you want to be a grandson, you have to line up. You also have to give half of your cake to those who can fight but have no money. In that place, you are not afraid of tiring work, but you are afraid of no work. No matter how tiring the work is, you can eat your fill. You are either beaten or beaten. Zhang Xiaobao cooked the new dishes and told Wang Wan as if he was telling a funny story. The cooks worked hard. In less than half an hour, the dishes were ready. 8 hot dishes, 1 soup, and 4 cold plates were served to the table where the students ate. The students were already in their seats, but they were standing next to their seats. Zhang Xiaobao cooked personally, so they did not dare to sit and wait. Zhang Xiaobao carried a dish and put it on the table closest to him. He clapped his hands and said, "Okay, sit down. Everyone can have at most 3 cups of wine. White wine is not allowed. First, allow my wife to speak to everyone, please." The students felt much more relaxed. They looked at Wang Wan and did not dare to look at her for too long. Wang Wan was dressed up today, so she was too bright and dazzling. What is there to say? During the exam, write well. After you finish the exam, you are not allowed to sleep in there. Qiuhan, if it is cold, I will ask someone to send you some charcoal. Don't expect me to give you any notes. Those who are sick from the cold will be thrown to the medical school, and let the students there practice. Okay, it is Xiaobao's turn to speak. Wang Wan said casually and let Zhang Xiaobao take over. The students looked at Zhang Xiaobao again and waited for him to speak. Zhang Xiaobao picked up a cup of wine, coughed and said, It is a long story. Eat well, drink well, cheers." The students were stunned and raised their cups. Chapter 948. The fall quarter examination was just around the corner. The atmosphere in the capital suddenly became tense. It seemed that even the air was different from before. It was filled with anxiety and uneasiness. There were obviously more people patrolling the streets. The shouting in the restaurants and inns began to become urgent. The people who sold the so-called subjects were hiding like mice. Teams of boats from Sanshui County transported grain and meat to the capital. The merchants were happy but helpless. If it was last year, they could sell more. However, this year, Zhang Xiaobao said that if anyone dared to raise the price by more than 10%, they should not blame him for being impolite. Whether the rumors were true or false was unknown. In the spirit of believing that it was true rather than not, the merchants of Chang and secretly cried while controlling the price. With the rising and falling of the cost of goods, they timely adjusted the increase of profits from selling goods or renting houses to maintain between 9.5% and 10%. I didn't say that. When Zhang Xiaobao heard the news, he felt wronged when facing the merchants of Chang, and who carefully controlled the increase of profits. Just take it that you said it. Wang Wan had just returned from her mother-in-law and mother's place. She had a lot of wool in her hands. She was assigned the task of knitting scarves for her 3 younger siblings. She asked Zhang Xiaobao to help hold the thread so that she could spin it into a ball. Zhang Xiaobao raised his 2 arms and cooperated with Wang Wan's small movements back and forth. The wool brushed down. He said, "Why should I say that the price increase is temporary? How much can it increase? The profit overflow of 30% has reached the limit. The consumption demand is obvious. The students' food and accommodation are all provided by us. I also brought things from Sanshui County. Do I need to stand up and threaten them personally? I'm not that despicable." "Then you go and clarify it in the newspaper." Wang Wan gave an idea. "If I clarify it, people will misunderstand it as encouragement. They dare to increase the profit by more than 100%. No, I have to find the person who spread the news. If it's a merchant, I'll let him close down. If it's an official, I'll let Xiaobei and the others go to his house for a heart-to-heart talk." Wang Wan quickly finished one round and changed again. She smiled and asked, "Is there a need to ban people from trading? Someone clearly wants to roast me on a fire. Just think about it. A single word from me, Zhang Xiaobao, is more effective than a decree from the imperial court. What do I need the imperial court for? I had nothing to do but talk to him, and everything was resolved. The problem was that the focus of talking didn't seem to be on me, but on Li Longji. With one word, I can decide the fate of the people in Chang'an. With another word, Can I aspire for the throne? In a while, accompany me to the palace and find Li Longji to investigate. Once I find the culprit, I won't be able to sleep peacefully. Zhang Xiaobao said angrily and passed the message to Xiaobei. Seeing that there was work to do, Xiaobei was eager to give it a try. Today Li Longji didn't hold a court meeting. The money from the harvest was in place. The money collected by the government was deposited in the local Tang bank. A portion of the grain was in circulation, and a portion was collected. The tax revenue was more than 135 million strings of coins, which was nearly 30 million more than last year. With money, when Li Longji was in a good mood, he went to the royal zoo that he had originally built and devoted himself to scientific research. He used the corn that he tried to grow on his own land to feed the 2 large dogs sent from the distant Tubo. He wanted to change the eating habits of the 2 dogs. Other dogs could eat porridge, but he didn't believe that the 2 dogs in front of him couldn't. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came looking for him, they couldn't help but praise the 2 dogs in their hearts. They were too beautiful, too mighty. They didn't need to stand up. Just by standing on all fours, they could reach the height of a person's waist. They had long hair all over their bodies, big heads, noses and eyes. If they had to find an animal to compare them to, they were more similar to African lions. Are you trying to make them believe in Buddhism? Become vegetarians? These 2 mongrels are quite pitiful. Zhang Xiaobao said sympathetically as he drew an inverted cross in front of himself. Wang Wan nodded. Mongrels should have a more specific name. What do you think of calling them Tibetan Mastiffs? Let's call them Tang Mastiffs. I think someone fed them meat before Li Longji came this morning. Otherwise they would have been howling by now. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the 2 Tibetan Mastiffs glaring at Li Longji. He tried his best not to laugh out loud. In his opinion, the 2 Tibetan Mastiffs were ordinary. They could not compare to the black dog Wang Wan saved in Luzhou and its children. Li Longji tossed out 10 handfuls of corn. When he saw that the Mastiffs didn't eat them, he clapped his hands in disappointment. When he turned around and saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, he said with a smile, "As expected, these mongrels are different from ordinary dogs. Actually, we can make them vegetarians. It'll just take some effort," Zhang Xiaobao suggested. Wang Wan glared at Zhang Xiaobao. Li Longji waved his hand. "Forget it. A vegetarian mongrel is not a mongrel. Why aren't the 2 of you studying at home? Do you want to see the new animals as well? Your Majesty, there's a rumor recently that I don't allow the prices in Chang and to fluctuate too much. However, I didn't say that." Zhang Xiaobao felt wronged. "We know. We were the ones who said it," Li Longji admitted without hesitation. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were stunned at the same time. They had found the culprit. Unfortunately, they couldn't seal the palace gates. Even if Xiaobei came, it wouldn't have much effect. "Xiaobao, you 2 worry too much. I'm afraid that the prices in Chang are too high. That's why I came up with this idea. It's working." Li Longji looked very proud. Zhang Xiaobao didn't say anything. Wei Wei turned to look at her godfather, Gao Lisher. Her meaning was very clear. "Do you think I can let the prices reach an uncontrollable level and not do anything?" Gao Lisher glanced at Li Longji. Li Longji and Wei Wei nodded. Gao Lisher then said, "Xiaobao, recently, a Japanese envoy came to the court. He went to all the princes and said that Zhang Xiaobao can decide the affairs of the Tang Empire with 1 word. The people only know of Xiaobao's name and don't know of the emperor's reputation. Thus, His Majesty decided to help them and let your reputation rise again. When the time comes, all the people who should show up will show up and be dealt with in one fell swoop. Your achievements are indeed remarkable. Many people have jumped out. Xiaobao, your prestige is still there. Look at the price control, it is really amazing. You said that the price increase can't be more than 10%. The merchants can steadily set the price increase between 9.5% and 10%. It saves them a lot of trouble. What else could Zhang Xiaobao say? He silently accepted the fact that he was used as a tool. However, he was still a little dissatisfied. Your Majesty, why don't you say it in your own name? Are you afraid that you're not as good as me? TSK, I'm not as good as you. I'm afraid that Xiaobei and the others don't have time to study. Once I say it, I'm afraid that the officials below will use it for personal gain. Xiaobei will jump up and down to catch people again. I don't want Xiaobei and the others to kidnap a group of 8th to 9th rank officials to Hanyuan Palace for a stroll during the court meeting. Li Longji's expression was lively as he curled his lips. He looked like he was doing it for the good of his younger siblings. Zhang Xiaobao thought about it. It was true. His words were the power of the people. Li Longji's words were called policy. With policy, there would be countermeasures. The better the policy, the better the countermeasure. Xiaobei had just had her fun and her heart hadn't calmed down. Once she saw that there was a problem, of course she had to interfere. She didn't have other channels to deal with the officials, and could only drag them to Hanyuan Palace. Was Hanyuan Palace a place to deal with small officials? No wonder the officials that Xiaobei had caught were dealt with so viciously by Li Longji. He couldn't blame Xiaobei and could only vent his anger on the officials that were caught. Even if it was a small matter, he had to deal with the bigger ones. Otherwise, he would be letting down the name of Hanyuan Palace. Since that's the case, I'm relieved. Zhang Xiaobao planned to go back and teach his younger siblings. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to leave, but Li Longji stopped him. Xiaobao, let's have lunch together. Recently, the people at the zoo said that there are too many animals. It's just for viewing. There's no need to eat a large group. It's too expensive. Let's eat a few first. Zhang Xiaobao raised his head to look at the sky and pondered. After a while, he didn't reply to Li Longji. He pulled Wang Wan and whispered together. After he finished whispering, he returned to his senses and said to Li Longji, "If there's no one else at noon, just pick a large one and kill it to eat. The others are still useful." What are they useful for? Winter is coming. It's not easy to feed animals that eat grass. If we really feed them fresh grass, the price of grass will be more expensive than meat. I also want to ensure a profit. The zoo's money belongs to me. I plan to build a garden at the beginning of spring next year. Li Longji placed more importance on his own private money. The main thing was that no officials would object if he took it out to spend. He really wanted to know how Zhang Xiaobao would find a new way to spend his private money, while guaranteeing the current profits. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Wang Wan. Wang Wan motioned for him to speak. So he said, "Your Majesty, actually the zoo doesn't have to pay to raise the animals." "Then who will pay?" Li Longji pointed to a pavilion not far away and asked Zhang Xiaobao to go over and slowly explain. The zoo wasn't open today. There was a stove in the pavilion, so it wasn't cold at all. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sat next to each other and began to introduce the zoo to Li Longji. "Your Majesty, in the past, we collected entrance fees and sold some animal and bird parts, such as hair and feathers, etc. When there were too many animals, we would kill one and freeze it. We would then divide it into portions and sell it to people who wanted to eat it. Together with the vendors' fees, it was quite easy to support the zoo. Now the scale is getting bigger and bigger. If we kill too many animals, it won't sell well. I just discussed with Cuckoo. Cuckoo's idea is to have someone else pay to raise the animals. There are two ways. One is to name it. For example, a panda. Find a beautiful one that doesn't have a name. Between the clouds and the water will pay for it. If it's called Haha, then it's called Haha. If it's called Haha, then it's called Haha. If Xiaobei pays for it, then it's called Hihi. It's an advertisement." Li Longji thought for a moment and nodded. "Okay, the second way. The second way is to prepare it for someone who really likes animals. Sell the animal to him alive for a sum of money first. It belongs to him. He should also solve the problem of food and shelter. However, he can't casually take it home to raise it. He has to keep it in the zoo. He can pay for his animals to build a house and put the animals in it. He can stipulate that he has the right to let the breeder take the animals out a few times a month and let them follow him to a safe place to play. He needs to pay the breeder a sum of money, which is to say, the zoo. Thus his identity will be revealed. When he has nothing to do, he will take 2 camels out to go shopping, which will immediately attract a lot of attention." Zhang Xiaobao then talked about the second way he and Wang Wan came up with. Li Longji and Gao Lisher thought for a moment. The first way was okay. The money spent on advertising was not wasted. As for the second way, Xiaobao, The second way seems unreasonable. If he buys it, why can't he take it home? If he keeps it in the zoo for people to see, shouldn't he also collect some money? I can't bully people, right? Li Longji thought it was unreasonable. There was another sentence he didn't say. That is, if I really lack money, why should I ask random people for money? If I let you, Zhang Xiaobao, take it, will you dare to not take it? It's better to target you than to bully others. At this time, Wang Wan said, Your Majesty, it's different. He doesn't know how to raise animals. If he raises them himself, they will die. If he wants to raise them himself, he won't sell them. When Xiaobao and I were in the countryside, we saw cattle rearing. Some rich people bought cows, but they always died. I don't know if it was because the feng shui was bad or they couldn't find a good breeder. When they finally survived, the cows became thin and couldn't work anymore. They found someone who was good at raising cattle. When they couldn't bring this person back to their home, they placed the cattle in this person's home to raise. 10 or so cattle were enough to plow a large piece of land. Jin Gui, not only were they responsible for the feed, but they also had to build a cowshed in that person's home. What if the cows die? Gao Lisher asked. It depends on what was said before. If it's compensation, then it's compensation. But if it's compensation, the person who raised the cows also has to pay more. Let's try and see who's willing to buy. Li Longji was tempted. If he could sell half of them, it would be another large sum of money. Afraid that others wouldn't be willing to buy, Li Longji waved at a palace maid and called her over. He asked, You heard what I said just now. I ask you, if I sell you animals in my zoo, are you willing to buy them? The palace maid seemed a little nervous. She shook her head and nodded. Your Majesty, this servant can't sell. This servant has to serve Your Majesty. If Your Majesty really wants to sell, this servant wants to order a tiger on behalf of second uncle's family. Your second uncle? Gao Lisher asked in puzzlement. He's a 6th-rank military officer. When he has nothing to do, he likes to go hunting. When there's something to do, this servant will follow second uncle's family to take a look. Second uncle likes to come to the zoo and likes tigers. The palace maid told him about her mistake and looked at Gao Lisher nervously. Oh, Li Longji nodded. He didn't care if the palace maid sneaked out of the palace. It wasn't a strange thing. Everyone knew it. He couldn't pursue it at the moment. Otherwise, who would dare to tell the truth to him? Ignoring the palace maid's mistake, Li Longji said to the palace maid, Find someone to send a message to your second uncle. Tell him that the zoo will take out animals from today. If he wants to buy them, let him go to the zoo to discuss with the manager. The palace maid nodded again, and carefully returned to her previous position with a nervous and excited look on her face. Zhang Xiaobao knew that a tiger had been sold. When the palace maid's second uncle got the news, even if he didn't want to buy it, he had to pay for it. Moreover, he had to rush to the zoo to buy the first animal, the tiger he wanted, before everyone else. As for how much it was worth, there was no way to say. It was said to be worth 500 strings of coins. The cost of transportation and catching the tiger was almost the same, or even less than 500 strings of coins. If it was said to be worth 50,000 strings of coins, it wasn't expensive. He could tell others that the emperor first thought of him, and then sold him a tiger. It wouldn't be a problem for others to raise his rank to the 4th rank for the sake of the tiger's face. Li Longji's first business was done, and he was very happy. He glanced at Gao Lisher. Gao Lisher understood that he wanted him to take care of the palace maid just now. There wasn't much reason. He was just in a good mood. Xiaobao, I heard that Zhang Xiaobao and the others are going to build an amusement park in Hongnong. Can you spare a place to raise animals? Li Longji began to promote to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao bowed forward. Thank you, Your Majesty. Zhang Xiaobao has the same intention. He is willing to build a beautiful place in Hongnong, and let Your Majesty transport the extra animals there. Half of the profits will be used to pay for the construction of the site, and the other half will be given to the zoo in the capital. Li Longji felt that it was a bit of a loss. Half was too little. He discussed. How will the labor costs be settled? It's better to let Zhang Xiaobao talk to Your Majesty. Your Majesty, rest assured. Zhang Xiaobao doesn't care about money. He can take out 1 3 million strings of coins just like that. How can he be calculative with your majesty over such a small amount? Zhang Xiaobao replied with a smile. Li Longji paused and said, half is fine. There's no need to trouble Zhang Xiaobao. The weather is getting cold. It's not easy to come to the palace. Li Longji reluctantly agreed to Zhang Xiaobao's agreement. He had to agree because Zhang Xiaobao mentioned 3 million strings of coins. If he really let Zhang Xiaobao come personally, he might not even get 30% of the profits. Otherwise, Zhang Xiaobao would definitely keep talking about 3 million strings of coins. After discussing the matter, Zhang Xiaobao really did eat at the zoo at noon. He killed a bear and brought the bear paw back for Li Longji to eat. Otherwise, he would leave it for his brother and sister to have a change of taste. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan returned to Savant's restaurant and continued to feel the tense atmosphere. Tomorrow's imperial examination was set to be held in Hibiscus Garden. Someone had already set up the examination hall. At this time, ordinary people were not allowed to enter. The examinees were nervous, insomniac, and excited. They all had different expressions. Zhang Xiaobao, who had always appeared relaxed, became nervous at noon. It wasn't because of the imperial examination, but because someone reported that 2 of Shuiyun's and Hong Wan's children had hatched. Shuiyun's children were eagles, not chicks. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan both became nervous. This was because eagles would usually do one thing after hatching, which was to push down their siblings who hadn't hatched yet. 11 eggs represented 11 eagles. If one fell, there would be one less. Zhang Xiaobao didn't even bother to eat. Together with Wang Wan, he brought his younger siblings and a large group of people to the artificial salt lake. Looking up with a pair of binoculars, Zhang Xiaobao took a deep breath and asked the person next to him, "Is everything ready?" "Yes." Next to Shuiyun's and Hong Wan's nests, there's a big circle 1 centimeter lower. Just use soft grass to cover it. If the eggs are pushed out of the nests, they won't fall to the ground or into the lake. The steward who was asked said with certainty. What's Shuiyun's and Hong Wan's reaction? Wang Wan asked. Hong Wan hasn't come down. Shuiyun came down the day before yesterday and broke open the guard's house. He dragged out the quilt from inside, tore open the cloth, took out a lot of cotton and brought it up. Today an eagle hatched, so Shuiyun came down and called out a few times. Zhang Ying climbed up with a bunch of raised insects and hasn't come down yet. Shuiyun is also here. He's probably discussing with Zhang Ying how to raise the children. Little Gongzi, don't worry. We will definitely guard this place and not leave any loopholes. The steward guaranteed. Shuiyun was a high-ranking official and had made great contributions in the Tubo battlefield in the northern part of Hebei province. He and Hong Wan's children were probably not ordinary people. While waiting, several eagle cries sounded from the sky and a big white eagle fell down. Zhang Xiaobao hurriedly took a leather arm glove from the side. Just as he put it on his arm, the big white bird suddenly slowed down and landed on Zhang Xiaobao's arm. I knew it. The 2 of us are still the best. Zhang Xiaobao touched Shuiyun's neck on his right arm with his left hand and said happily. Shuiyun also seemed to be very happy. This was a comrade in arms who had fought side by side. If it could speak, it might even praise Zhang Xiaobao's 2 sharp spears when Zhang Xiaobao flew into the sky to deal with the group of eagles. Brother, I want to touch Shuiyun. It's so beautiful. Xiao Bei wasn't afraid at all, and looked up from Zhang Xiaobao's leg. Zhang Xiaobao squatted down and first touched Shuiyun. This was Xiao Bei, that was Xiao Yuan and the others. Xiao Bei boldly reached out to touch Shuiyun. Shuiyun really didn't move, and allowed Xiao Bei to touch its feathers. Xiao Bei was so happy that it giggled. Is the house warm? Zhang Xiaobao asked Shuiyun, as if he was talking to a human. Shuiyun called out. Oh, it's warm. Where's the food? We're feeding the insects now. When they grow bigger, we'll have to feed them meat. I'll get someone to get some live lambs. You can choose for yourself. When the children can fly, you'll have to bring them to hunt for food. Zhang Xiaobao continued to talk to Shuiyun. Shuiyun nodded, which was strange. It wasn't clear if Shuiyun understood, or if it was just a habit. Zhang Xiaobao also slowly climbed down from above, and let Shuiyun rub its head against his face. He said to Zhang Xiaobao. Hong Wan has already fed the 2 hatchlings and is sleeping. I think 5 or 6 more hatchlings can come out today. By tomorrow, all of them will probably come out. It won't be too far away. When all of them come out, I won't have to worry. I'm thinking that before it snows, they can start to practice flying. The lake and the ground have to be prepared. The baby eagles can fly very far with a flap of their wings. Don't get hurt. It will be arranged. Xiao Bei and the others will each have 1. The remaining 2 will be raised first. I think Her Majesty will ask. Zhang Xiaobao had already begun to plan how to divide them. Eagles grew faster than humans. When they grew up, they might be able to carry Xiao Bei and the others into the sky. He just didn't know if Shuiyin could still carry him. A little further away from the shelf, as the news of the birth of Shuiyin and Hong Wan's children spread, many people gathered. Some came to watch the fun, while others wondered if they could buy one. There were many rich people who thought that as long as they had money, there was nothing that couldn't be bought. There were even people who asked Zhang Xiaobao and Zhang Xiaobao in the inner courtyard outside if they would sell 1 or 2. The people in the inner courtyard were too lazy to answer. When they were annoyed, they replied, Shuiyin is an official. Why don't you try to buy an official's child and raise it? The people who asked didn't dare to speak again. If they did, they would be arrested. Brother, is there a red one? I want a big red eagle. Xiao Bei heard that she could get one, and began to make her request. I don't know. I'll have to wait until the feathers are molted and the shape is fixed. There's a red one for you. Zhang Xiaobao rubbed his sister's head, stood up, and continued to look up. Seeing that there were no big problems, he ordered. Give the order. No unrelated people are allowed to come close. Enforce martial law within 1,000 meters. Other than Her Majesty, all other princes and princesses are to be stopped. Especially during my exam. If anyone dares to come over and cause trouble, shoot them on the spot. If they die, it's on me. As soon as Zhang Xiaobao's voice fell, the sound of orderly running came from the road leading to this place. Most people turned their heads to look, and saw a group of strong men running over. They were all carrying guns. The eunuch at the front was Luo Bin, who often interacted with Zhang Xiaobao. Seeing the group's attire, Zhang Xiaobao was relieved. They were the Jinwu guards, Li Longji's personal guards. With a rough look, there were 200 people. Luo Bin ran to the front and panted twice. He said to Zhang Xiaobao, Lord Zhang, Her Majesty heard that Shuiyin and Hong Wan's child was born. She ordered this little one to bring 200 Jinwu guards to protect them. Whoever dares to wantonly harm the son of an official will be severely punished. Enforce martial law within a radius of 3 li. No one is allowed to pass or approach. Luo Bin's voice was very loud, no quieter than Zhang Xiaobao's. When the surrounding people heard this, they thought, great, Zhang Xiaobao only wanted to enforce martial law within 1,000 meters. The emperor actually directly cordoned off an area of 3 li and even sent out the Jinwu guards. If Shui Yun was a human, she would be satisfied with her life. Zhang Xiaobao was happy. Good. Let me thank Her Majesty for her grace. Lord Zhang, this little one can't go back. This little one wants to stay here. Her Majesty said that if Shui Yun's child's life is in danger because of other people's disturbance, she will chop off this little one's head. Therefore, Lord Zhang, this little one also needs to use your family's guards. If anyone dares to barge in, this little one will first beat them to death for the sake of my head. Luo Bin put his hand on his neck and gestured, as if he was afraid of death. Zhang Xiaobao stretched out his hand to Wang Wan. Wang Wan took out a few banknotes from her bag and handed them to Luo Bin. She said, then I'll trouble you. Luo Bin happily took the money. He didn't look at the exact amount, thinking that it couldn't be bad. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao was about to leave, he hurriedly said, Lord Zhang, Her Majesty said that you should keep 2. If you want to give the rest away, you can distribute it. Your Majesty. Zhang Xiaobao agreed and walked back with his people. He secretly cursed Li Longji. No wonder he sent the Jinwu guards. He actually only asked for 2, and even said that the rest would be distributed. He didn't believe that Li Longji couldn't guess that the rest just happened to be 1 for each of Xiao Bei and the others. 2 wasn't too much or too little. Shui Yun and Hong Wan's children were all gone. Wife, do you think this counts as our dear Her Majesty's kindness to Shui Yun? Zhang Xiaobao saw that there were no outsiders around, and said to Wang Wan. Wang Wan was also very helpless. Forget it, forget it. It's mainly because Shui Yun's ability is too dazzling. Who doesn't want to get one? For the next nest, there will be a prince or something to greet us. I don't know if Shui Yun is convinced or sad to be valued so much. It should be. I've never heard that the little eagles have to live with their parents when they grow up and have their own families. Let's go. No matter how big they get, we still want a nest of children. We can't let Shui Yun outshine us. You can go give birth with the pigs. Shui Yun's storm could be said to have just started. The princes, and their sons were in a powerless situation. They couldn't compete with the emperor, and could only continue to look forward to the next nest. The civil officials felt that the emperor's care for Shui Yun was excessive and discussed spiritedly. The military officials, on the other hand, were gratified. In their eyes, Shui Yun was a similar species. Back then, it was able to fly thousands of li to deliver news, which was incomparable to an urgent report from 800 li away. The emperor's care for it was a meritorious service that must be rewarded. The military officials knew that without Shui Yun, Wang Wan wouldn't have been able to achieve such impressive results. Shui Yun not only cooperated with small groups to launch sneak attacks, but also observed the enemy's situation, and was responsible for air control. People said, Guan Shan's endless blade glints coldly, throwing away heads to fight for their lives on the battlefield. In Lingtian, who dares to flap their wings, guarding 1,000 li alone, an eagle soars. Therefore, the military officials regarded Shui Yun as a hero. At the very least, there was no one in the heavens who could match up to her. Could it be that such a hero needed someone to disturb her when she gave birth to a child? Zhang Xiaobao didn't know that the civil and military officials of the imperial court were divided into two factions. They were fighting a war of words in front of Li Longji. The civil officials spoke in a genteel manner, quoting classics and classics. The military officials were more heroic, cursing as soon as they opened their mouths. They rolled up their sleeves, and their spittle flew everywhere. If it wasn't for Li Longji, they probably would have gone all out to fight. They wanted Shui Yun to see that they were also no match for the civil officials on the ground. After returning to Savant's pavilion, Zhang Xiaobao and the others ate first. Their hearts settled back into their stomachs, and their appetite gradually increased. Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan worked together to gnaw off more than half of the lamb leg. They rubbed their stomachs and said that it was for Shui Yun's child to try what kind of lamb tasted good. In the next few days, they planned to try a few more breeds of lamb. After the meal, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sat in front of a tea set and drank tea. Zhang Xiaobao drank 6 teacups in a row, and his mouth became even more astringent. He asked Wang Wan, "What questions do you think will be tested tomorrow?" "How would I know? I didn't ask, so it doesn't matter. Are you worried that you won't be able to pass?" Wang Wan continued to pour tea for Zhang Xiaobao, not worried at all. "I'm not afraid. I have nothing better to do. Everyone else is guessing the questions, so I'll do the same. You have to prepare. After the civil examination, it will be the military examination. If you have 2 days of rest, you can call all the commanders at home over, and come up with a good plan. It's difficult for cold soldiers to fight hot weapons." Zhang Xiaobao had been arrogant when he had accompanied Wang Wan to shout at the generals, but in his heart, he really did not have any confidence. There were 2 sets of rules for cold weapons and hot weapons. You couldn't say that if you slashed out with a knife, you could instantly appear 3 miles away and cut off the enemy general's head as easily as taking something out of your pocket. Wang Wan raised her teacup and stopped it in front of her chest. She said, "It's also impossible for everyone to have a submachine gun for hot weapons. The weapons we make are purely handmade. Only our own troops and Li Longji's personal guards have one each. There are also very few handguns. The rifling for handguns is harder to make than for rifles. Most of them are rifles. Rifles are powerful at a distance, but in close combat, can bayonets compete with cold weapons? It's also impossible for me to foolishly arrange my troops in an open field and wait for the enemy to fire their guns and cannons. Using cold weapons does not mean that I've taken out the enemy's troops. I can't use their guns. It's just that when determining the losses, the people who use cold weapons are not familiar with them, so the enemy's losses are small. This time, I'll let those arrogant generals who think that they have guns and cannons understand that guns and cannons are not omnipotent. Otherwise, sooner or later, they will suffer a great loss. Zhang Xiaobao also understood that in theory, there was no such thing as an invincible soldier. However, he felt that it would be very troublesome for him to deal with it. He drank another cup of tea and indicated to Wang Wan that he was full. He said, I've got the information on all the generals. After the literary exam, I'll make a list and evaluate everyone. Okay, I'll leave the logistics to you. I may have to frequently move long distances to find opportunities. You can't make any mistakes about how to distribute the logistics and how to hide them. Wang Wan placed a lot of importance on this sand table exercise. She had to win. Zhang Xiaobao also said seriously, Don't worry, I like to do this. I'll let the logistics cooperate very well. Give me the map, I'll study it again. Zhang Xiaobao said as he went to get the map. You're not guessing the exam questions anymore? Wang Wan asked with a smile. What's there to guess? I'm the top scorer. If they don't give me the top scorer, I won't be an official anymore. I'll leave behind a huge mess. Let's see who can clean it up. Whoever is the top scorer will take over. Just the great Tang Bank alone is enough to tire him to death. Zhang Xiaobao puffed out his chest and went to the study to look for the map. Wang Wan sat there and kept laughing. The next day, the day of the imperial examination finally arrived. Some impatient examinees hurriedly finished their lunch and headed to the hibiscus garden. They just had to wear their clothes. When the time came, there would be soldiers searching their bodies. As for lunch, the imperial court would be responsible for the brushes, ink, paper and inkstone. To be more precise, the restaurants that sold food and the shops that sold the four treasures of the study were responsible for it. The bowls and plates that held the food would have the imprint of the restaurant. The same went for the four treasures of the study. If it was in the past, the imperial court wouldn't give them anything. Now that Li Longji knew how to do business, some of the examinees would become officials. Whoever could provide them with things, even if they wouldn't be taken care of in the future, they would at least have a good memory. Therefore, there were many restaurants that were willing to provide food and stationery. Therefore, Li Longji charged them. Yes, you had to provide food and stationery, and you still had to pay. If you didn't pay, then your things wouldn't be used. The examinees all left with solemn expressions. Only Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and the examinees of Jianzhou Academy were not in a hurry. The people of the academy would follow Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Even if the time passed, they would still be able to enter. After Zhang Xiaobao finished his meal, he sat there and drank some tea to help with digestion. Only then did he lead the group to Hibiscus Garden. When they arrived outside Hibiscus Garden, the soldiers were waiting in formation. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went straight in. The students of the academy had to stop and be checked. Regarding this, the other examinees who came around the same time did not feel that this was inappropriate. Who would dare to search Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan? No one would believe that the two of them would cheat. If they wanted to cheat, they would have already memorized the answers to the questions. After entering the examination hall, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan found their seats according to their numbers. The two of them were next to each other, and there was only a wooden wall between them. There was a soldier with a gun standing outside every single room. Of course, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were different outside. There were at least 20 people outside. In name, they were invigilators, but in fact, they were there to protect them. Wang Wan was also taking the imperial examination. She planned to give Zhang Xiaobao some pressure. It wouldn't be good to be compared to her wife, right? As the door outside closed, it was time for the examination. The official in charge of the examination first nodded to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Then he praised Li Longji and emphasized the discipline of the examination hall. Only then did he walk in front of Zhang Xiaobao and ask, "Lord Zhang, is it ready?" Zhang Xiaobao glared at the examiner, which meant, "Are you stupid? You ask me." The examiner understood and immediately announced the start of the examination. When the examination papers were opened, they were not read aloud like before. Instead, they were given out. If they did not have enough paper, they could ask the examiner for more. Zhang Xiaobao opened the paper. The first question was about sutra. The Jinshe examination was about sutra. It was actually a fill-in-the-blank question. The so-called sutra was full of blanks, and the blanks were linked together. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at it and saw that it said, I, Wang Ku, was born with the mandate of heaven to comfort Feng Xia. As for the rest of the paper, it was full of blanks. I thought it would be difficult. It's just Shangshu. If I knew it would be like this, I would have let Xiao Yuan do it. He can also get a good result. Zhang Xiaobao cursed in his heart and filled in the blanks at the back. After he finished, he continued to look at the next one. It was an essay, which was a question. The examiner had to write a poem and an essay according to the meaning of the question. Zhang Xiaobao went over first. Writing poems and essays was a waste of time, so he finished the simple ones first. After that, it was the current affairs policy, also known as policy theory. The examiner was given a question, and then discussed it. However, there were 5 questions. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at the questions. They were really related to him. There were questions about Hunan province, foreign wars, domestic economic construction, railway construction, and river layout. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the questions, pondered for a while, and knocked on the wooden board next door. What are you doing? Are you cheating? Wang Wan asked softly. The soldiers outside were deaf and didn't see or hear. However, the person next door to Wang Wan heard it, and felt indignant. If you want to copy, just ask for the questions directly. Why are you asking each other at this time? Zhang Xiaobao didn't care about these things and said, don't answer the current affairs policy. If you don't write the real thing, that's lying to the emperor. If you write the real thing and the examiner sees it, aren't you afraid that the secret will be revealed? Oh, that's right. Wang Wan responded and asked, if you don't answer, your score will be low. Who dares to say that my current affairs policy is bad? Whoever wants to know, come and ask me. I will tell him. I will tell him all the secrets and layout. I will scare him to death. Zhang Xiaobao said disdainfully. All right, I won't answer either. Wang Wan responded. At this time, the indignation in the hearts of the examinees who heard it disappeared, and was replaced by understanding and admiration. Look at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. It wasn't that they didn't know how to write, it was that they didn't dare to. The current affairs policy that they were answering was to see if their ideas were compatible or not. The closer they were to the emperor, the higher the evaluation they would get. They were giving advice to the emperor. If they had any ideas, they would directly tell the emperor. How could they write it for many people to see? Zhang Xiaobao relaxed. There were a total of 3 major questions. Now there was only a poem and an essay left. He picked up the brush and was about to write, but he wanted to know what Wang Wan was thinking, so he knocked on the wooden board again. Are you going to write a 7-word or 5-word essay? Poem or quatrains? Don't disturb the others. I won't write a poem or quatrains. I will write a song. Wang Wan was annoyed. Chapter 949. Zhang Xiaobao looked around. Other than the soldiers in front of him, the other 3 sides were all walls. He muttered softly, all right, I will also write a song. He looked at the questions. He had to write according to the questions. If he really did not answer the questions, it would be too ugly. Li Longji would definitely laugh himself to death. They had been competing since they were young. After so many years, he had always had the upper hand. No matter what, he would not let Li Longji laugh at him. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't worried at all that the examiner wouldn't dare to pass his paper to Li Longji. If he really failed on the first try, Li Longji would probably find an excuse to throw the examiner into jail and reinstitute another winter imperial examination. In other words, it would be another winter imperial examination. Anything could happen in this magical world. Wasn't it normal to have another examination in winter? Zhang Xiaobao looked at the paper and saw that it said, if one hears the Tao in the morning, one can die in the evening. The Tao can be Tao, but it is not the Tao. I know how to speak, I am good at nurturing, I am noble. With one look, Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. He put his mouth on the wooden board. Wife, did you see? F***K, who came up with this question? The Analects of Confucius, Laozi, and Mencius. Is there a need to compete with 3 people in one sentence? If you let others hear it, won't you be teaching others? Stop talking. If you continue, I will get someone to throw you out. You can wait to participate in next year's examination. Wang Wan really did not know what to do with Zhang Xiaobao. It was an examination. Couldn't he be more serious? Who heard it? Who dares to throw me out? Zhang Xiaobao was really bored. He thought that the examination would be very difficult. In the end, it was just a fill-in-the-blanks question, 5 discussion questions, a poem, and a prose question. What was this? The soldier who was in charge of invigilating Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan continued to be deaf and blind. The quarrel between immortals had nothing to do with mortals. Honey, don't write too fast. Slow down. I'm regretting it now. I'll let Xiao Bei and the others participate. Other than their handwriting being a little lacking, they should be able to enter the top 100 in other aspects. Honey, is your poem oblique or plain? Zhang Xiaobao continued to ramble. Che Yun, Xiao Bei can't memorize so many books. Don't tell me you want Xiao Yuan to help you cheat? Even if he knew the answers to the questions, so what if he passed the exam? You said yourself that you want them to learn and grow through playing. If it weren't for you insisting on fame, why would we come here? Wang Wan also felt that the questions were too simple. This was the country's selection of talents. If one was selected, they would immediately become an official. In the end, the difficulty was even lower than the college entrance examination. It really made her speechless. Alright, I'll go right. You're reciting rhymes, right? I'm Pingyan. You can't possibly say that I cheated by copying you, right? Zhang Xiaobao turned around, but he didn't write. Instead, he fell into deep thought. Similarly, Wang Wan didn't write either. It wasn't that she didn't know how to, but that she suddenly lost interest. The imperial examination was too easy. It was no wonder that Jinjia Academy would definitely accept anyone who participated. It wasn't because of its reputation, but because of the different education methods. Just like that, the 2 of them were separated by the wooden board and spent 3.5 hours, which was also 3 hours. It started at 7 o'clock in the morning, which was 7 o'clock. In addition, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan finished the fill-in-the-blanks questions, and then talked nonsense. It was now past 10 o'clock, almost 10:30. Zhang Xiaobao waited for a while. He raised his hand, and was about to continue knocking on the wooden board when he suddenly realized that there was something wrong with the gap on the wooden board. He observed the gap, and actually found something interesting. With a whoosh, the wooden board between the 2 of them was opened by Zhang Xiaobao, giving Wang Wan a fright. Shoo! Zhang Xiaobao raised a finger in front of his mouth. We can open it. It seems that Li, the emperor, was afraid that we would be lonely, so he deliberately arranged for someone to do it. Wang Wan ignored Zhang Xiaobao and began to look at the wooden board carefully. She nodded. The workmanship is very delicate. It's okay. Zhang Xiaobao echoed. How did you find out? Wang Wan was puzzled. You look down on me, don't you? What did I do before? Where did I hide the money that I couldn't find? Passbooks, real estate certificates, notebooks, bearer bank cards that always have 6 zeros as the password. If I don't find them, who am I going to threaten? What am I going to spend? Do you think that I can't do anything to you just because you have 24 full-view surveillance cameras in your community, 4 doors, and 3 groups of mobile security guards? If I'm a little less capable, I'm not qualified to be your husband, right? Zhang Xiaobao touched the wooden board and said to Wang Wan with an expression that said, it would be weird if I didn't see through it. Wang Wan chuckled and looked at Zhang Xiaobao with watery eyes. She was indeed very satisfied to have a husband like Zhang Xiaobao. If she hadn't come with Zhang Xiaobao, and if Zhang Xiaobao was terminally ill at that time, she felt that she could get a sum of money that Zhang Xiaobao was willing to hand over by understanding him. After locking Zhang Xiaobao in prison, she could get him out through other means and be with him. I know. You were a thief in the beginning. The officials who were robbed didn't dare to report it, so you specifically picked the big fish to rob. You even dared to steal from the provincial political secretary's house. In the end, he mobilized people to arrest you. It was said that the case handling officer who had never failed before saw you flying from building to building, so he could only announce that the arrest failed. Later, that secretary went to the CPPCC. Wang Wan helped Zhang Xiaobao to prove his innocence. Zhang Xiaobao disagreed. It's useless to live in the provincial party committee's compound. Usually no one will stare at the CCTV. I can set off a firecracker somewhere else. When it goes off, can you still keep your eyes on the monitor? I took the opportunity to go there. You can check the historical records after the theft. I was long gone. I can, Wang Wan said in a huff. You can? You can only stare at the monitor when it goes off and think about when it will go off. You go back. I am not going to be friends with you. Wang Wan pushed Zhang Xiaobao's head with all her strength. You can. I was wrong. When you were practicing, the firecrackers kept going off. Don't you have to stare at the monitor? Then you can be a security guard. A security guard with military rank. Many security guards are originally from the military. Go back and write poems. Don't disturb me. Wang Wan continued to push Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao stubbornly resisted. No, don't. There are many things to do this time. It will not be easy for them to answer. The exam will last for 2 days. We will be staying here tonight. Don't be anxious. What do you want to eat for lunch? I will cook for you. Do you want to eat double-cooked pork? How about braised frog? Wang Wan finally relaxed. She lowered her head and thought for a while. I want to eat casserole. No problem. Beef brisket and potatoes? Beef stewed with carrots? Chicken stewed with mushrooms? Pine mushrooms? Cabbage and pork ribs? Cod tofu? Dog meat? Dog meat is not good. It is not good for women to eat that. Also, I have to make dog sauce. Mutton and wood ear? How about this? We should have kidney beans in Beijing. I will make a stew for you. First, I will make braised pork. Then I will put the kidney beans, potatoes, and eggplant into the stew. I will also add chili and tomatoes. After that, I will mix 2 cold plates for you. You can eat it with rice. Okay. Zhang Xiaobao opened his mouth, and a series of dishes came out. Wang Wan frowned. Why are they all stewing? Sister, I am not the one who wants to stew. You are the one who wants to eat casserole. I will play along with you. You can find me a casserole that is not stewing. I will learn. Zhang Xiaobao spread out his hands. Then I want to eat Buddha jumps over the wall. Wang Wan said. I don't have time. Are you going to eat it tomorrow? I will get someone to prepare it today. I also have bear paws. I got it from Li Longji at the zoo. I don't intend to return it to him. Zhang Xiaobao did not care about anything else for his wife. Wang Wan bit her lips. I have eaten it once. There is no bear paws, and it is very hard to make. Sister, where did you eat Buddha jumps over the wall? Let's not be so formal, okay? Actually, Buddha jumps over the wall is only a few words. Fresh, tender, numbing, smoky, sandy, smooth, sweet, and fragrant. Why does it have such a texture? It is because of the ingredients. The ingredients are not put together at the same time. Every ingredient is put together according to the time they are cooked. This is the texture. Actually, I am not willing to eat this. Not to mention that it is very hard to make, there is poison in it. Let me tell you this. I don't need to put as many ingredients as what others recommend. As long as you give me enough seasonings, I can use any piece of meat to make the same effect. It sounds scary. It is just the freshness of seafood, the tenderness of bamboo shoots, the sweetness of rock sugar, the smoothness of shark's fin, the sand of liver, the smokiness of ham, the numbing of rice wine, the aroma of meat, and the rest of the ingredients have the corresponding effect. Zhang Xiaobao pursued the essence of the ingredients and spoke the truth. But the food made by others is transparent. When it is cold, it feels like it is frozen. Wang Wan had eaten it many times. Others needed to order it, but she did not need to. I use fire alkali to make it more transparent. Isn't it easy to make frozen? You can stew fish and make meat with frozen. I will also make some starch and white alum for you. I will make as much frozen as you want. Therefore, don't listen to their boasting. What Big Brother is making for you is the real deal. Many of the ingredients in the Buddha jumps over the wall soup are suitable for the occasion. If I were the person who made the Buddha jumps over the wall soup back then, I would definitely sigh that I didn't have enough ingredients. Buddha jumps over the wall is an explosive food source. It is just like the stew I made for you. The stew is mainly made because it is hard to find meat, so there is only red braised pork. It is mainly made into vegetarian food, just like the pearl and white jade soup. Only those who are not good at cooking can win with ingredients. Look at the dishes I usually make for Xiaobei and the rest. Do I need to put in a lot of seasonings and ingredients? Even a fried egg has its own style. Why are French steak and Italian macaroni so classic? It is because they are simple. I can make whatever flavor you want to eat. In my eyes, steak is just beef, wine and salt. Macaroni is just tender and smooth. Later, I will make steamed bear paws for you. You just need to put some salt and mushrooms. It is just tender and smooth with a little toughness. What else can it do? If you want to eat raw prawns and clams, do you want me to put 100 kinds of seasonings on you? Why do you need to use leftovers to eat fried rice? Toughness means that there is less water in the rice grains. I will use freshly steamed northeastern rice and roast it in the microwave. There is no difference in the taste. Of course, if you want to say that there is a slight fermentation process in the rice that contains water, then I will ferment it for you. Listening to Zhang Xiaobao talking about how to cook in the examination room, Wang Wan smiled. She smiled sweetly and happily. Xiaobao, why are you different from other people? Because I am not other people. I am Zhang Xiaobao. Many countries' presidents value me, but I don't value them. Because the president can be changed. Zhang Xiaobao is the only one. What do you want to eat for lunch? Zhang Xiaobao changed the topic again. What do you think? Wang Wan became shy. How would I know you? Zhang Xiaobao was very helpless. Let it be stewed. I will give you a chance to mix the ingredients. Put less chili. I know. Green chili, which is also called persimmon chili, has not been cultivated yet. Do you know how to cultivate persimmon chili? As the name suggests, it is a cross between tomatoes and chili. Understood. Hurry up and cook. I am hungry. Wang Wan used words to show who was in charge at home. Don't be unreasonable with me. I will only wait for 5 minutes. What can you do? Afraid of you? Someone go to Savant's restaurant and get me something. Be 5 minutes late. Oh, 3/4 of an hour. Zhang Xiaobao didn't believe that he couldn't get back his position as the leader of the family. Wang Wan pursed her lips and smiled. Husband, are you angry with me? You want me to be 5 minutes late? No, I am afraid that they will accidentally break the tomatoes. I will cook quickly. I will light the fire now. It won't delay anything. Just watch. Zhang Xiaobao started to light the fire with a sense of accomplishment that belonged to a man. It was just stewing. Do you think I don't know how to cook? Thus, when it was close to noon, the other examinees were eating box lunches that were better than most of what they usually ate. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stayed in front of the pot, puffing out hot air as they ate the stew. The fragrance made the other examinees angry. Even if they could smell the stew, they were unhappy that Zhang Xiaobao didn't ask them to pay. Finally, an examinee next door couldn't hold it in anymore. He stretched out his neck and asked, why is it not Savant's restaurant who is cooking? Zhang Xiaobao put down his chopsticks and raised his head. Savant's restaurant doesn't lack advertising opportunities. Go back and call for someone to chase you out. That examinee was very self-aware. He didn't think that he had the strength to contend against Zhang Xiaobao's authority. He resentfully retracted his head and continued to eat the lunch boxes. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head helplessly and said to Wang Wan, humans, their desires are really uncontrollable. There is no end to them. How can society develop without desires? Humans rely on their desires to win against other animals. Why don't you invite the head examiner over to eat together? Wang Wan only remembered that she didn't invite anyone after she was half full. We are taking an exam. Don't disturb the rules of the exam. Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan as he picked up a piece of dried tofu with scallion oil with his chopsticks. Wang Wan put a piece of red braised pork into her mouth and said in a muffled voice, don't mention the rules of the exam to me. If you don't disturb, there will naturally be rules. It doesn't matter if I disturb or not. I thought that it would be very difficult. The imperial examination is too disappointing. When Zhang Xiaobao thought of the exam questions, he started to feel helpless again. Wang didn't say anything for a moment. She took a small spoon and drank the soup in the pot. Zhang Xiaobao also became silent. He lowered his head and ate fiercely. Both of them had their own thoughts. Why? After a while, Zhang Xiaobao put down his chopsticks and looked outside. He seemed to be talking to himself, but also seemed to be asking Wang. Because we are used to 12 years of compulsory education. We are used to not having a good job after graduation. We are used to having a lot of masters and doctorates. In the past, I didn't think about it. I just felt a little. Why do we have to go through such a long period of education and then lose the opportunity to get more survival resources? The country doesn't give any preferential treatment to people who receive education. Wang also muttered. Zhang Xiaobao turned around and picked up the cucumber stick dipped in the sauce. He pinched it with his hand and bit off a piece. Now you know? I know. Wang nodded. In fact, the country has never thought of letting the people widen the gap between the people of the same country through education. Because everyone is learning, it is to widen the gap between one society and another society. In other words, it is to prevent other countries from surpassing the basic level of knowledge. Now, I'm thinking, if we can take all of our graduates from a certain university and bring them here, they can study tourism, mining, physics, chemistry, and so on, and then compare them with the outstanding people of the same age in Great Tang. The people of Great Tang will be trampled under their feet. This gap can destroy a country. It's just like how Li Longji is always afraid of the country that can shoot artillery shells from Luzhou to Chang, and therefore, the purpose of universal education is not to increase the competitive advantage of the people of the country. It is to ensure the survival of the race. When Wang said this, she thought about why the emperor was willing to give the children of officials the position of officials. It was because the children of officials received a different education from the children of commoners. If there wasn't an endless amount of paper, if there wasn't a lot of ink, if there wasn't a lot of books, if there wasn't a good teacher, if there wasn't 10 years of hard study sounded good, but it was far inferior to 9 years of compulsory education with all the conditions, let alone 12 years of compulsory education. In Tang, a child who was willing to learn wanted to learn, but there were no channels of communication. Before Shi and Xiaobao came, before there was a large number of books, if they could get a book, they would be willing to give them more time to copy it. But what about when Shi and Xiaobao were together? Free libraries could be found everywhere. In fact, if you went to a stall selling books and renting books, you could go there without buying or renting. Very few people would chase you away. There was a child in the 6th grade of primary school who had just come into contact with the linear equation of 1 yuan. While walking on the street, he suddenly thought of a question that he didn't know how to solve. He would randomly stop a passerby or a salesperson and ask them about it. As long as they had the time and the mood, they would teach him. Because it was too simple, as long as they were older than him, they would know. But what about here? You could just grab a random person and ask them. Moreover, there was the internet. If you did not know a question about the Analects of Confucius, there would be many people who would teach you. There would also be several answers for you to choose from. Thinking of this, Wang mumbled. The truly frightening thing is not knowledge, but turning knowledge into common sense in life. When a person is not feeling well, they will naturally make self-judgment and take the corresponding medicine to treat themselves. When a place is hit by a disaster and floods, people know to drink water. When a person has diarrhea, they naturally know to replenish their salt. When there is fog, they will immediately wear masks and try not to go out. This is the true foundation of a nation by turning knowledge into common sense. Zhang Xiaobao continued. That's why we feel that the questions of the imperial examinations are simple. Because the knowledge that you have been teaching me and I have been teaching Xiaobei, and the rest is common sense that we take for granted. However, it is far superior to Tang's education system. Yes, Xiaobao, I've decided. I want to rebuild Tang's education system. Wang waved her fist, looking ambitious. But it's very difficult. Zhang Xiaobao still did not dare to say that he was going to build a financial system. If it's not difficult, why would I tell you? Is it not difficult for you to tell me? It's difficult for two people, but it's better than one person. Just tell me, what do you want me to do? Your reputation, my reputation, and our money. I want to build a university, a system-wide one. I want to hire teachers and recruit students. I won't allow anyone to cause trouble. For a period of time, I won't allow any political factors to interfere. Wang Wan picked up a piece of eggplant and chewed it vigorously, treating him as someone who was going to cause trouble. Zhang Xiaobao put a piece of charcoal under the pot. He picked up the paper and fanned it a few times in the air before taking 2 deep breaths. Wang Wan saw Zhang Xiaobao's actions and said, "Look, you don't need anyone to remind you. You only know how to worry about carbon monoxide poisoning. This is the power of knowledge. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. I support you. Wait until we finish the martial arts examination, okay? I'll think of a way for you. Isn't it just building a university? Finding students and teachers, not letting others cause trouble, and getting rid of all political factors? It's simple." Zhang Xiaobao raised his hand to show that he was convinced. He indicated that Wang Wan did not need to continue persuading him. It's simple. Just say it now. Wang Wan wanted an answer that would make her happy. Zhang Xiaobao was slightly helpless. It's easy for me to do what you say, but I can't just spend money and not make money. If I want to make money, I have to put in a lot of effort. I have to wait until the martial arts examination is over. Wang Wan was just about to say that Zhang Xiaobao was greedy when she saw Zhang Xiaobao waving at the soldier outside. She was puzzled and asked, You really are Zhang Xiaobao. You won't take any losses. What do you want to do?" Zhang Xiaobao waited for the soldier to come closer and said, "I want a few papers. I'll answer them. I've studied for so many years. If I only answer one paper, it's too disgraceful." "Official Zhang, what orders do you have?" The soldier reacted quickly this time. When Zhang Xiaobao waved at him, his eyes were no longer blurry and his ears were no longer deaf. Zhang Xiaobao pointed to the left and right. "I want a few papers. Give me one paper for the theory of the classics, the theory of the law, the theory of the literature, and the theory of the mathematics. Oh, 2 sets. Official Wang also needs 1 set." The soldier nodded and turned to leave. Zhang Xiaobao turned around and saw Wang Wan's puzzled expression. He said, "When you were taking the university entrance exam, you only had 2 days. Don't tell me that you only had 1 fill-in-the-blanks question, 1 poem, 1 essay, and 5 discussion questions?" Wang Wan shook her head vigorously. "How can there be such a good thing? I think you should give me 2 hours to answer the questions for the theory of the sciences. This is because writing with a brush is slower than a fountain pen. Otherwise, 90 minutes would be enough." Chapter 950. The soldiers did not take long before they returned to where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were sitting. Behind them was the head examiner, and 2 other people were holding a set of papers. "Sir, you want to review the questions?" The head examiner asked. "I'm going to answer the questions. You are Shui, Assistant Minister of Rights. Oh, I remember now. Shui Yuan, right?" Zhang Xiaobao looked at the head examiner and thought for a while before saying his name. The head examiner nodded happily. Yes. You have a good memory. Do you want to answer all the questions? Do you want to extend the duration of the imperial examinations? No need. It's just a small question. In a while, bring the examiner here. I will answer it for him." Zhang Xiaobao did not want to be scolded. Because he was alone, extending the duration of the imperial examinations was worse than delaying the autumn quarter examinations by a month. Thus, he immediately took the papers and did not say anything polite. He invited the head examiner to eat, and let him leave after greeting him. Assistant Minister Shui did not feel that Zhang Xiaobao was neglecting him. If he really asked him to stay for a meal, that would be a lie. Why would he ask him to stay for a meal when there were 2 people eating? However, he had doubts about whether Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could answer all the questions. Zhang Xiaobao poured hot water into a cup of barley wine. This was the first wine that appeared during the distillation process. It was also called Liuzi wine, and had a relatively high alcohol content. However, no matter how high the alcohol content of barley wine was, it was still not as high as rice or corn. The first wine was around 50% alcohol content. You still want to drink during an examination? Give me the questions. Let me see. Wang Wan took the cup in front of Zhang Xiaobao, and took a sip. She drank a quarter of the wine in one gulp and finished half a tael. I'll leave you a sip. 1 tael per person. You will feel refreshed. After drinking, you will be able to answer the questions. What kind of questions are these from the mathematics section? The fill-in-the-blanks questions actually have to be memorized. Luckily, I memorized them before. Thank you, Grandfather Bai. That old man taught me a lot. Do you see this? This is the mathematics exam. This was clearly not asking people to calculate. Instead, it was bringing up the forward, gouging out a row of words, and asking people to fill in the blanks. There's a calculation problem. I've left a space here, which means that there's no need to write down the steps to solve the problem. Let me see, the road is 80 feet long. The 2 brothers will walk it in pairs. The brothers will take 4 feet each step, and the younger brother will take half a step. A total of 35 steps. Was this what the imperial examinations were about? It means that there is a road that is 80 feet long, and 2 brothers are walking on it. The elder brother takes 1 step and covers 4 feet, and the younger brother takes half of the elder brother's, which is 2 feet. Then the 2 of them walk a total of 35 steps, and each of them is asked how many steps they have taken. Zhang Xiaobao felt helpless after reading the questions. It was too simple. It was just a 2-dimensional linear equation. Wang Wan did not even need a pen, and could directly say the answer. Of course, it was not a blank. There were steps to solve the problem. Let x plus y equals 35, for x plus 2y equals 80. I really should call Xiaobei and the rest over. Let's not talk about the college entrance examination. If there were such questions in the middle school entrance examination, the children would die of happiness. Let me see again. Oh, there's a 2-dimensional quadratic equation at the bottom. It seems that not everyone can calculate pi. Xiaobao, now you know the importance of a system, right? Wang Wan held a roll of paper in her hand, took a pen, and finished answering all the questions for the mathematics section. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at it and copied it. Otherwise, it would take some time to solve the 2-dimensional quadratic equation. He might as well eat a few more mouthfuls of food. When the 2 of them finished their meal and began to drink tea, they had finished answering all the questions except for a poem, a prose essay, and some discussion questions that hadn't been written yet. There were no multiple-choice questions, no error correction questions, just filling in the blanks, discussion, and so on. The only question the 2 of them answered was the mathematics section, which was how to judge a case. The judgment was not fixed and had a certain degree of flexibility. The 2 of them had already memorized all the laws of the Tang Dynasty. After Zhang Xiaobao finished writing, he said to Wang Wan, "Look, aren't the laws set for the upper class? If our family followed this rule, even 10 heads would not be enough to chop off." Are you saying that the law is useless? Wang Wan asked. No, I'm saying that everyone should quickly become upper-class people so that they can avoid the law, Zhang Xiaobao said. If someone can be above the law, it can only mean that the system is not perfect. The one who is wrong is not the law, but those who are clearly avoiding the law. Not only are they not ashamed, but they are also complacent. If you do too many bad things, one day you will run into a ghost. I'm a good person. Don't look at me and say that we're not going back today. Call Xiaobei and the others over later. Let's eat hot pot tonight. Sauerkraut hot pot with a chimney. At the same time, let them answer the questions and experience the imperial examination. Zhang Xiaobao reopened the mathematics section paper and began to think about how to write poems in prose. Just as he came up with some ideas, someone came to disturb him. Lord Zhang, Lord Wang, you 2 are looking for me? The person asked politely. Oh, you're the examiner for the mathematics section oral examination? Zhang Xiaobao looked at the person and asked. Yes, Lord Zhang. Do you think there's something wrong with the questions? The person was very nervous. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand. No, it's just that it's too simple. Yes, it's simple. Go ahead and ask. Zhang Xiaobao sat up straight and said seriously. Ask what? The person was surprised. Ask me a question, and I'll answer it. Also, examinee Wang Wan, ask together. Zhang Xiaobao's attitude was very proper. Examinees should act like examinees, at least for now. The person rubbed his hands and said hesitantly, Lord Zhang, then I'll ask. Go ahead and ask. I asked you to ask Wang Wan and me. Zhang Xiaobao urged. Okay, thank you, Lord Zhang. The person stood respectfully and then asked, I'll ask Lord Zhang, that the Tang Bank's reserve rate increased by 1 percentage point, and the bank's deposit rate also increased by 1 percentage point. Normally, this should suppress consumption, but why is it that in some cases, there is a trend of consumption increasing? Zhang Xiaobao nodded and replied. This is mainly because the Tang Bank's lending to the outside world decreased during this process. At the same time, the examination and approval requirements were also stricter. This caused the private lending to expand, which led to a situation where the consumption of certain items accelerated. Also, outside of the provision of non-essential items, those who have a large amount of other items and hoard them, in order to cash them out, have to lend the cash to the private lending institutions that also raise the deposit and withdrawal rates. When they judge that the profit lost from dumping the goods is less than the additional interest gained from depositing the money in the private lending institutions, they will sell a large amount of goods at a low price. This will increase the consumption of these goods in the areas under their influence. This is a short-term, localized increase in consumption. If it exceeds the short-term, and there is an expansion of consumption, then it can only mean that there are people who are speculating. If the effect is not big, then I can ignore it, but if it exceeds the bottom line of my heart, I will firmly suppress it. Thank you, Lord Zhang. The person was very happy. Is there anything else? Zhang Xiaobao continued to ask. Yes, Lord Zhang, if the quantity of small goods does not reach the taxable quantity, then no tax will be collected. However, there are people who deliberately sell large goods in the form of small goods according to their assembled parts to avoid tax. What should be done about this kind of thing? The person asked another question. Tax will be collected according to the overall quantity of goods sold in a unit time, and a fixed tax will be levied on the increase of assets. At the same time, strict examination will be carried out. The business operation and tax declaration items must be consistent with the actual items recorded in the transaction process. If they are the same, the accounts will be audited. If they are different, in addition to making the difference in tax payable, punitive measures will be imposed. For the first time, the fine should not be too large, and it will be mainly a warning. If the offender commits a second time, the punishment will be increased, Zhang Xiaobao answered. Thank you, Lord Zhang, and, wait. Wang Wan opened her mouth. She stared at the person and asked in confusion. This year's oral examination of arithmetic has started to test this? No, the students want to test them on this, but they don't understand. After Lord Zhang and you went to Hongnong, Lord Zhang's lectures in Beijing were stopped, and the students had to study by themselves. Didn't Lord Zhang give the students a chance to ask questions when he was busy? The person had a blank expression on his face, as if he was wondering why Wang Wan had brought up the oral examination. Looking at the situation, when the examiner asked him to come, she did not tell him the details. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao and smiled. Zhang Xiaobao reacted and didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he said to the person, You. All right, after the martial arts exam, I will resume class. You can write down all your questions and hand them to me after class. As for the other people's questions, I will gather them together and answer them all together. Let's not talk about this now. You can ask me about the oral examination of arithmetic. Wang Wan and I will pass the examination of arithmetic as well, so we can begin. Wang Wan also sat up straight and waited. The person smiled awkwardly and said, Lord Zhang, you are making things difficult for me. How could I dare to ask you such a small question? Don't tease me, okay? You want to take the arithmetic exam, and I will tell you now. You and official Wang have both passed. If you insist on making me ask, then you are scolding me. Ah. Okay then, you can go do your own thing. I will answer the questions of the advanced subject. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand and bade farewell to the person. The person bowed and said, Lords, you are busy. I will take my leave. After he finished speaking, he really left. The examinees on both sides of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had all pressed their ears to the wooden board to listen. When they heard the person's question, they were all at a loss. When they heard Zhang Xiaobao's answer, oh, it should be said that it was an answer, they were first shocked and then felt inferior. Look at him. He had nothing better to do and took the arithmetic exam. The examiner who came for the oral examination could only ask for advice and did not dare to ask questions related to arithmetic. Wang Wan watched the person leave and laughed. No wonder the examiner arranged for an assistant minister from the Ministry of Rights. If they really arranged for someone to be the head of the secretariat or the head of the various departments, they would not care whether you took the exam or not. They would definitely pester you and ask you all kinds of questions. Just now you gave me a fright. I thought that the Tang Dynasty's arithmetic exam was already so difficult. According to this, when Xiaobei and the others grow up, when they take the exam, won't they ask about the tax refund and differential subsidies for exported goods in the Tang Dynasty's import and export trade, as well as the issue of the imposition of punitive tariffs for anti-dumping measures in the process of protecting the cost of its own goods? When you finished answering the second question, I only realized it. But you foolishly waited for someone to continue asking. Why didn't you think about it? Is that a question that examinees should be asked now? How would I know? I thought it was just a question. Moreover, the question is not difficult. Is there a difference between 1 plus 1 and 1 plus 2? Zhang Xiaobao spread his hands. Oh, that's amazing. You know 1 plus 1 and 1 plus 2? Is it the 1 plus 1 and 1 plus 2 question that can be expressed as the sum of the product of a prime number and the product of b prime number? Wang Wan argued. Then what is it? Zhang Xiaobao was confused. Prime numbers. A long time ago, there was a person called Goldbach. He said, answer the question, answer the question. Don't say things that are not related to the exam. Don't disturb me. I want to write a poem. Zhang Xiaobao sent Wang Wan back and packed his things. He once again became a good examinee who knew the rules. Zhang Xiaobao knew what Wang Wan was talking about. This was not a field that he should be involved in. When encountering such situations, he should follow the principles of the 36 stratagems. First, he should avoid it. Second, he should leave. This field could easily cause people to die without a burial place, especially that Chen guy. He was not a person, but an existence as bright as the stars. Zhang Xiaobao was most afraid of people with the surname Chen, because even history could not be erased. Just by hearing their name, he could feel his own insignificance. He could fight against Li Longji, but he did not dare to have the slightest disrespect for a certain group of people in his heart. There will always be some people who cannot be measured by money. Yes. If one hears the Tao in the morning, one can die in the evening. The Tao can be Tao, but it is not the Tao. I know how to speak. I am good at nurturing. I am noble. Answer the question. Zhang Xiaobao thought about it in his heart. He picked up his pen and prepared to continue the advancement exam. He actually did not want to write a song line because there were many words in a song line. There were only 4 quatrains and 8 quatrains. However, when writing a modern poem, the requirements were stricter. The question was very simple, and the content was not difficult to understand. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to write a few times before, but he did not know where to start. Just now Wang Wan said 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2, which reminded him of some people. Now he felt that it seemed to be easy to write. Thus, Zhang Xiaobao took a deep breath and started writing. What is the Tao? Worship an official, return to the province when winter comes, snow is pure and innocent. Find my Tao, leave kindness in my heart. 4 seasons in the world. People are the heavens. This Tao is not mysterious in the distant emperor. I do not know where to go or stay. Looking up, the blue sky is empty. Looking back, the thick earth is full of jade rooms. Even ants seek the warmth of spring. How can people avoid the cold of autumn? Brocade returns home. Respect the elderly first. Do not talk about official status. Fellow countrymen. Fellow countrymen stoke firewood and put winter vegetables in front of the table. Deep in the cold, cracked hands, revealing the light of the fire, moist and gentle face. When I say there are many dishes, I hurriedly put down my chopsticks. When he says there is little meat, he pushes the plate. The cucumbers are crisp, the leek sprouts are fresh, the children are laughing and playing at the table. During the meal, I asked about the deceased, the newly built tower to worship the deceased. The fields are often produced in all seasons. The things by the water are occasionally left behind. The turbid wine floats to the bottom. The gourd soup scars the bottom. The tipsy finger goes to the sway phone. Propose to use soil to cultivate mountain treasures. What can be chosen from 10,000 kinds of mountain treasures? Mushrooms are best fried and stewed. Tremella still needs to be cultivated, but purple mushrooms can be produced in the same basket. The host is pleasantly surprised and often urged to drink. Returning guests forget their worries and keep drinking. Or all of Sanshui County. And all of the 4 seas can be mapped. Suddenly there is a noise outside the door. Pushing open the window to listen to the light bell. Zhang Wang is afraid to be behind. Gully outside the village is happy to compete. First, white cut chicken pieces are tender, then brown smoked beast head tongue. Hurriedly waving and bowing to thank, the noise buzzing in the capital. Inform the capital and the county, the roadside is the same Yanglu song. The Yellow River divides Wei and divides Yellow River, Dingshui clear and turbid together. 1,000 coins are easy to buy a tiger staff, 100 knives are hard to find a falcon bow. The sun sets and the sun laughs silently, the charcoal star is full of sound. Suddenly I hear the eagle cry, the new moon, the water clouds and red lawn. Raising his hand and waving it, he is actually looking for the top spin. Beasts are psychic, they know how to use their lives to win over officials. Full of masculinity, they are full of righteousness. Sighing to find the people as the heavens, there is a dream in a dream, it is fate. Come down, don't stop me. Zhang Xiaobao threw away the pen and opened his arms. Shui Yun and his wife, Hong Wan, came down one after the other. The wind brought by their wings made the soldiers unable to stand steadily. Stand still on the table, don't move. I almost died of exhaustion from writing a song of more than 1,000 words. I can't ruin it, otherwise I will go to your house every day to cry. What's wrong? Something happened at home? You don't care about the children? Zhang Xiaobao patted the table and talked to Shui Yun and his wife. Shui Yun and Hong Wan really jumped on the table and looked around curiously. Wang Wan pulled the board away and looked at Zhang Xiaobao in surprise, then looked at the paper and asked, "Is it really more than 1,000 words?" "It's punctuation. Anyway, it has more words than Xiaobai." Zhang Xiaobao patted the paper. Wang Wan thought for a while and realized who Zhang Xiaobao was talking about. Bai Juyi, who wrote the Song of Everlasting Regret. Then she curled her lips and said, "How can you compare to him? He has quality. I have speed. Give me 2 days and I will write better than him. He writes this kind of thing when he has nothing to do. Do I have time for nothing? If you don't believe me, look at Shaoli. He hasn't written for a long time. He is in charge of the Ministry of Revenue and he is so busy. I have decided to work hard to live for a few more decades, or even 100 years. I will wait for Xiaobai. He has just grown up, so I will arrange things for him to do. You want him to write poems? He should write reports and self-criticism every day." Zhang Xiaobao said viciously, then opened his mouth and laughed. Wang Wan was also amused. "Fortunately, I didn't get you into the spring and autumn annals. Otherwise, there would be no Analects of Confucius. What are Shuiyan and Hong Wan doing? How would I know? I saw them flying in the sky and waved my hand and they came down. Their eyes are quite sharp. I will have someone go to the lake to check. Don't let anything go wrong." Zhang Xiaobao wanted to order the soldiers to go and check. Before he could find the soldiers, a person rushed in from outside. It was Luo Bin. He hurried to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, looked at Shuiyin and Hong Wan and said, "Lord Zhang, Lord Wang, the children are all out. Lord Shuiyin just fed them." Lord Zhang said that the children are asleep now, and asked me to tell you the good news. I didn't expect Lord Shuiyin to come in person. Oh. All 11 are safe? Zhang Xiaobao asked happily. That's amazing. They can open their mouths to eat insects without opening their eyes. Luobin continued to report. Zhang Xiaobao agreed. Amazing, really amazing. In fact, when we were young, we could take the initiative to drink milk with our eyes closed. We are amazing together. Yes, Lord Zhang is right. Luobin echoed. Suddenly, he saw that in another single room, there were examinees poking their heads out to watch the fun, so he quickly said, Since Lord Zhang and Lord Wang know, I will go back. Keep an eye on them, or I will lose my head. Okay, when I go back after the exam, I will reward you handsomely. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand and said goodbye to Luobin. Zhang Xiaobao turned his head and looked at Shuiyin and Hong Yuan. After thinking for a moment, he said, After I deal with the imperial examination, go back to Sanshui County with me first. I really don't feel at ease in the capital. There are too many eyes and different minds. Sanshui County is our territory. If anyone has the ability to infiltrate Sanshui County and harm your children, he might as well deal with the palace. The difficulty is almost the same. Shuiyin looked at Hong Yuan and nodded to Zhang Xiaobao. Okay, you two go back first and take care of the children. When I finish the exam, I will go to see you immediately. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he lifted the table and pushed it upward. Shuiyin and Hong Yuan took advantage of the force to rise into the air, circled twice, and flew in the direction of the lake. After the two eagles left, Wang Yuan curiously reached for the paper. Let me see what you're writing. Dream, I had a dream. Oh, there were two. Chapter 951. When Wang Yuan heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, she stopped writing and looked at the sky. It was time to light the lantern, and Xiaobei and the others were coming. She rested her chin on her hand and said to Zhang Xiaobao, Tell me, what did you dream of? I dreamed that I suddenly returned to my hometown, Sanshui County. It was a dream. Zhang Xiaobao was a little embarrassed. Did you suddenly return to your hometown in a dream at night? Wang Yuan helped. Don't interrupt. I first sighed about the glory and wealth of people. Then I met an acquaintance, Zhang Xiaobao continued. Who? Which Shuangzi? Wang Yuan asked. Zhang Xiaobao glared at Wang Yuan. That's what it means. I got confused as I wrote. Can you remember the person in the dream? Okay, continue. Yes. You're interrupting, old friend. When you saw me come with gifts, you were very happy. You warmed the stove and went to pick some vegetables. Winter vegetables. You kept me eating and drinking with me. I asked if your family was doing well. He said it was okay. He built a new house and went to worship his ancestors. As for me, I saw his hands. They were cold and his face was red. It's not easy to make money. He even gave me vegetables when they were valuable. I was thinking. Zhang Xiaobao drank a cup of water when he said this. Wang Yuan happened to finish the sentence and asked, Was there a feeling of cutting spring leeks in the rain at night and yellow beams in the new kitchen? Then you drank 10 big cups of wine, 10 cups of wine in one go. Zhang Xiaobao put down his cup and waved his hand. No, I'm not as stupid as Du Fu. I didn't ask Weibo to cook chives and cook rice. Stupid? It's nothing more than using homemade things to entertain friends. One is that you don't regard yourself as an outsider. The other is that you only have those things at home. It's simple and unpretentious. Wang Yuan asked in confusion. It's obvious that you don't have a life. Have you forgotten that leeks can't be cut when it rains? After cutting them, the roots will rot. In spring, when the leek roots rot, won't you have to spend a lot of effort to plant them again? You'll miss the good seasons. Huang Liang in the new kitchen. The new kitchen referred to the newly built stove. If you built a new stove, would you dare to light a fire to cook yellow rice when it was wet and rainy? Especially the word room. It's a verb for stirring. At that time, there were no red bricks. Let's try it tomorrow. I guarantee that the stovetop will crack. If you use the spoon to stir, the stovetop will have to be rebuilt. Zhang Xiaobao was mimicking the actions in Du Fu's poem. Wang Yuan was enlightened. I remember now. I was only thinking about the artistic conception of the poem, and forgot about the things in my life. How much wine did you drink? Who knows? I was only focused on drinking. Anyway, a lot. I drank until I was confused. Yes, I told him to cultivate mushrooms next year. Those things are easy to cultivate. He was quite happy. Later on, quite a number of people from our family's manor, the Gu family's manor and the Li family's manor came. We drank with them, and only slept when the sun rose. Zhang Xiaobao described the feeling at that time. Oh, you fell asleep in your dream? Continue. Wang Wan held back her laughter and signaled Zhang Xiaobao to continue. Zhang Xiaobao rubbed his face with his hands as if he was reminiscing. Then I fell asleep. In my dream, I flew and flew. One moment I went here, the next moment I went there. I flew to the school. In the morning, I ate in the school. They made wontons, which were wontons stuffed with water chestnuts, shark's fin, abalone and monkey head mushrooms. The children of our two families do this in the school? Don't they have milk and eggs for breakfast? Didn't I say? In my dream, an old man suddenly appeared and praised our school. He said that the food was good. I just said a few words of modesty, and he said that it was good, but there were people who died. At that time I was frightened. I tried my best to calculate the mutual promotion and restriction of food. I suspected that if there was poison in the soup, and I was about to rush in and knock over the spoon or something. The old man said again, not our school, but somewhere else. The food at your school is good. This made me angry. I thought he said to ask, where is it? He said the line between Huaiyuan, Qizhou and Mingsha, where the Yellow River is. He said that it was snowing and the road was blocked. He asked me if I had been an official for too long, and forgot the people in other places. He asked me why I didn't send my deer, dogs, and eagles to help. Zhang Xiaobao said it as if it was true. Wang Wan was fascinated and asked, yes, why didn't you send them? This year, there are very few places in Tang where it snows. Moreover, there is Chongpingsong, so there is no need for it. I asked him, are you lying to me? Why didn't I see it when I was reading the news in the capital? He was very angry, meaning that he didn't lie. He asked me to investigate, so I did. The radio signal was transmitted layer by layer. Soon, the reply was slow, and I found that something was wrong. The reply almost made me die of anger. The official said that Chongpingsong didn't have food. Don't blame them, blame natural disasters. Blame the merchants for not paying taxes properly and defaulting. Do you think they are joking with me? I believed them, so I sent troops to kill them all. I confiscated their property and exterminated their family. As I killed them, I turned around and saw that the people I just killed were alive again. I was shocked and woke up. I was back in the house of the old friend I met earlier. I was so depressed that I shouted with all my strength. Just as I shouted, I woke up again and found that I was in the examination hall. It's over. Zhang Xiaobao spread his hands and looked at Wang Wan. He laughed first. Wang Wan also laughed and nodded. Good Xiaobao, you are good. You wrote blindly about things that didn't happen. You answered the questions in a dream. Next time, be more realistic. I don't like what you said. Who said that one can't dream? Did Tao Yuanming do it? Did Li Bai do it? Oh, he didn't do it now. There is no chance. Which great poet doesn't dream? Zhang Xiaobao defended himself, looking very angry. Wang Wan patted Zhang Xiaobao's head. Be good, don't be angry. You are right. Great poems all dream. Great brother still needs to cook. Quickly prepare, Xiao Bei and the rest are here. Sure enough, Xiao Bei, Xiao Yuan, and the others came. They were probably afraid that it would be too tiring to come in, so they were still wearing their official robes. They walked with their little legs and looked around curiously. Someone come and help me hold down the papers. Let's eat first. Xiao Yuan, Xiao Zhu, come here. It's time to eat. After eating, look at the questions. In the future, you will have to do it too. Zhang Xiaobao greeted the soldier, and came out of the room with Wang Wan. They found an empty space and set up the stove to make hot pot. Xiao Bei and the rest were obviously not thinking about eating. They looked at the room used for the examination, and found it very interesting. The lights in the examination hall were lit up. The electric lights were powered by a new small steam engine that burned coal to generate electricity. The examination hall was brightly lit. The other examinees also had their meals delivered. They couldn't come out to eat together for fear of telling each other the questions. They were still in the room. The restaurant that delivered the meals was very generous. They learned from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan when they had lunch. Each person had a small pot with charcoal under it. The bottom of the pot was seafood, and the cut mutton was placed on a plate. They could choose from more than 10 kinds of seasonings. The cost was not small. Just now outside the door, we saw some examinees leaving. Xiaobei took off the bits and pieces of decorations on his body and said. Zhang Xiaobao expressed his understanding. Basically, they gave up. Otherwise, they wouldn't have missed the time to eat dinner. Xiao Hai, who usually didn't like to talk, would only speak in front of his brother and sister. He said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Brother, Shuiyun went to Savant's restaurant. We went to the lakeside and heard that all 11 eagles had hatched. We wanted to go up and take a look, but it was too high and we didn't dare to climb." Yes, it's good that you don't climb. When an eagle hatches, it's about the size of a chicken. When we go back to Sanshui, you will see it. Pick one you like. Zhang Xiaobao patted Xiao Hai's head. Everyone started to eat. As they ate, Wang Wan found that Zhang Xiaobao was absent-minded. She picked up an oyster, cooked it, and put it on Zhang Xiaobao's plate. She asked, "What are you thinking about?" Ling State. The Ling State that Zhang Xiaobao mentioned was the big states in Huaiyuan, Anjing, and other places that he had written. "You're just writing nonsense. Do you really care about it?" Wang Wan was helpless. "Why do you think I'm thinking about Ling State? Our family's business is not in Ling State but in Feng State. Our family's fleet only passed by Ling State when they traveled the Yellow River." Zhang Xiaobao began to analyze his own psychological activities. Wang Wan scooped a small piece of tofu and dipped it into the pot. She said, "Because it is indeed snowing in Ling State. According to the intelligence the day before yesterday, the Yellow River is expected to freeze earlier than usual. However, the inaction of the officials in your dream didn't happen." Zhang Xiaobao looked at his brother and sister who were eating happily. He frowned and said, "It's better to prepare in advance. There is a lot of activity this year. All the powerful businessmen are going to Japan. I'm worried that we won't be able to react in time if something really happens. Since the Yellow River hasn't frozen yet, we must move our daily necessities to a place in the northwest. Store up red deer, dog-pulled sled and falcons. Prepare to be ready in case of an emergency. I'll listen to you. We'll make arrangements after dinner. Let's eat first." Wang Wan also agreed with Zhang Xiaobao's suggestion. If they didn't suffer a disaster, they would only lose a part of their profits. It was better than a disaster that killed people. Wang Wan preferred the current means of transportation, especially the sled dogs. After they were developed, their transportation ability would be terrifying and better than cars. Xiaobei and the others listened while eating, but they didn't interrupt. This was a learning process. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan deliberately did this. In the Tang Empire, human lives are always more important than money. Even if we believe that the response of all parties is fast enough, we can't let our guard down. While we enjoy the beautiful things in life, we must respect the lives of others like us. Zhang Xiaobao picked up a piece of paper from a specially made paper bag and wiped Xiaobei's mouth as he said this. Xiaobei waited for his brother to finish wiping and asked, "Does the Japanese count?" "Japan? Japan. Not my race. It's beyond my reach." Zhang Xiaobao tried to figure out the language and replied, "I understand. In fact, I love everyone. It's just that sometimes the Japanese don't trust me. I'm very sorry about this," Xiaobei said straightforwardly. Wang Wan chuckled and rubbed Xiaobei's head. "You're so smart. Your brother's education is going to succeed." When Zhang Xiaobao and the others finished dinner, the other examinees were already full. They stayed in the single room and drank the tea prepared by the restaurant. Someone brought new bedding. After the examination, the bedding belonged to the examinees. No one cared whether they took it away or threw it away. Xiaobei and the others gathered around to look at the questions. All the fill-in-the-blanks questions that required memorization were not a problem for Xiaoyuan. Xiaohai was responsible for all the math questions. As for the other questions, Xiaobei and the others thought hard. In the end, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came to the conclusion that the younger siblings would not be able to pass the imperial examination for the time being. They were stuck at the topic of policy. The ones who really showed their ability in the imperial examination were Xiaoyuan and Xiaohai. It seems that we still need to wait. Zhang Xiaobao concluded. Xiaobei was very distressed. She found that she was not particularly smart. She looked at the current affairs policy questions one after another, and did not know where to start. She would rather be in charge of a county where all the officials listened to her. She could use the various models summarized by her family. Coupled with her own strong financial power, she was confident that she could manage a county well. However, when she was faced with the examination questions, there were some words that she did not recognize and could not give a reason why. Hiding behind the other children, Xiaobei lowered her head and pursed her lips tightly. She was angry with herself. Xiaobei, what fun things are you thinking about? Wang Wan saw that the usually active Xiaobei was not, so she pulled her out from behind the others and asked. Xiaobei puffed up his cheeks and said sullenly, I'm the stupidest. Both men and women know more words than I do. How am I supposed to know how to fix the road and where to fix it with all those messy questions? I know why it needs to be fixed. It's to make it easier to walk. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao and signaled with her eyes. She meant, look, you asked them to come, and now you've dealt a blow to the children, right? Zhang Xiaobao was a little regretful. He had always let his younger siblings develop a kind of confidence that they were not afraid of difficulties, and that no matter how big the world was, they could do it. Therefore, the things that he arranged for his younger siblings were things that they could do after they worked hard. When Li Longji sent Xiaobei to Hongnong, he was worried about it. However, his younger siblings did very well. He and Wang Wan were very pleased. This Xiaobei, come here. Come to Big Brother's side. Don't be afraid when we encounter difficulties, right? Zhang Xiaobao carried his sister and said to her. That's right. Xiaobei still had not recovered. If you ask me to do things, I'm not afraid. If you give me a county, I'll manage it. If I ask the people to plant things, I won't be afraid if the plants are bad and there's no output. I can compensate them. Then I'll remember that if the environment is similar, they can't plant the same things. I'll spend my own money to teach them a lesson. Xiaobei hugged her brother's neck and said her thoughts. Suddenly she pouted. But what's this? I don't understand what you're asking. Fixing roads costs money. Why do you have to ask why and how to spend it? That's right. Our Xiaobei is right. Do you still remember our family's ranch in Fengzhou? Zhang Xiaobao felt that the pressure he was under was unprecedentedly great. He would not stupidly tell his sister about the details of fixing roads. Otherwise, it would be useless even if she memorized it. That was a way of thinking. Therefore, what he had to do was to temporarily let his sister forget about the current situation and relax. He had to guide her according to her intelligence and experience with words that she could understand. Wang Wan watched from the side. The other 8 children were also listening to their brother. When Xiaobei heard her brother's question, she suddenly smiled and said, I know. We even went to catch the Tujue together. What's his name again? Prince Yen of the left. When we came back to Fengzhou, our dog pulled the sleigh and couldn't see the end of it. At that time he was scared silly. Our Xiaobei is so awesome. I almost forgot that you still have to ride the dog. The dog ran away when it saw you. Zhang Xiaobao played along and pretended to be surprised. Bad dog. Xiaobei gave a definition of a dog. Then we saw the river, the Yellow River. Do you still remember it? Zhang Xiaobao asked. Xiaobei looked up at the sky and thought. I know. It's winter, but I don't see the trackers. When will we go again? Wait until next spring. When the ice melts, we can take a boat, okay? Zhang Xiaobao made a rowing gesture. Okay, pinky promise. Xiaobei stuck out her pinky finger. Zhang Xiaobao also stuck out his pinky finger, and the two of them came to an agreement. Wang Wan listened in puzzlement. She wanted to see how Zhang Xiaobao would solve the problem. Zhang Xiaobao continued. When the river just turns around the bend, it's turbulent, and it's hard to pull the cable. There's a rich merchant who has his own fleet, so he wrote a letter to me. When was it? The day before yesterday? Was it the day before yesterday? Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan as he spoke. Wang Wan understood. It was the night before yesterday. The merchant asked you to judge whether his idea was good or not. That's right. 2 nights ago, he told me to buy some gunpowder and blow it up along the tracker's path. So it's not this wide. Zhang Xiaobao gestured with his hands to show a 1-meter wide gap. He said that he wanted to blow up the path 3 times wide and blow up the place where the trackers used to climb. This way he could use horses to pull the cable. It would be faster, and the horses would have more strength. I thought about it and realized that this person. Is he stupid? Xiaobei was finally brought to the topic by her brother, so she interjected. Zhang Xiaobao pretended to be deep in thought. I also feel that something is missing. Something is not right. Do you still need to think about it? That path can't be blown inwards. There's no place to support it, and there's a mountain on one side. If he blew up such a wide path at the bottom, the soil on the top would fall down. Then he would spend money to remove the fallen rocks and plant new trees. Otherwise, the top side of the mountain would be completely bald. When it rains, the soil and rocks would roll down. If he planted the trees, would he guarantee that they would survive? If he wasted time, the others wouldn't sail and wait for him? Xiaobei let go of her brother's neck and waved her little fists. Yes, our Xiaobei is still the best. I'll scold him later and tell him that he can't pull the cable like before. What's the point of building a road? Zhang Xiaobao affirmed his sister's words. Xiaobei clenched her fists and thought for a while. Then she said, if he wants to transport goods from Fengzhou to Yunlingzhou, he's willing to fork out a lot of money. Why don't he just blow up the cave and use cement to build the inside? He can just transport goods by land. That's right. Our Xiaobei is still the best. Who said that she couldn't answer the current affairs question? I think that the other examinees will encounter the same problem. They can't compare to our Xiaobei at all. Zhang Xiaobao imitated his sister and waved his fists. Xiaobei regained her usual vigor. The questions in the imperial examinations aren't specific enough. I don't know who came up with the questions, but we can't generalize. We need to analyze the problems in detail. Yes, I also object to this, so I decided not to answer the current affairs question. I just asked blindly. Zhang Xiaobao was indignant. I think he hasn't stayed in a place before. He doesn't understand the situation of the people and lacks a foundation. Xiaobei evaluated as if she had made a lot of achievements in a place. Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't correct his sister's mistake. It was fine as long as he achieved his goal. Xiaobei, it's late. Let's go back first. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll go to the lakeside and see Shuiyin and her family. Zhang Xiaobao gently wiped the sweat from his forehead. Then he sent away the 9 younger siblings who had a lot of opinions about the current affairs of the imperial examinations. Only then did Zhang Xiaobao let out a long sigh of relief. Xiaobao, you're amazing. Wang Wan praised Zhang Xiaobao with a smile. I didn't think that you would be able to use this kind of method. How did you know that Xiaobei would be able to answer? Wang Wan was very curious. I've personally met Xiaobei 3 times when the topic of capturing the Tuju as virtuous prince of the left was brought up. Thus, Xiaobei has a very deep impression of that place. Furthermore, she has been thinking about the problem of road construction. Even though she has temporarily diverted her attention, she is still subconsciously thinking about this problem. Moreover, with Xiaobei's personality, if you ask her to make a comprehensive plan, she might not be able to make one, but she can always find flaws in other people's plans. When we came back to take the train, we told them more than once to blow up a cave, so that the train could pass through. Children are different from adults in one respect. They can always think about things for a long time, but for them, they either forget or treat things from a long time ago as if they were just yesterday. Zhang Xiaobao explained to Wang Wan. So you're sure that she will definitely cooperate? I'm not sure. I'm also betting. At most, she won't respond to the topic just now. Then, I'll think of another topic. I won't scold her and say things like, "You're so stupid." Do you want to be beaten? You can't even solve such a simple question. What have you been thinking about all day? I'll say to those adults who educate their children like this, you're so stupid. You can't even teach such a cute and smart child. Is there water in your brain? You can't even teach a child. What else can you do? Zhang Xiaobao once again blamed the adults for the child's poor grades and looked down on them. Wang Wan shook her head. You're always thinking differently from normal people. I'll go back and continue writing. Are you going to write essays too? No. I'll go back and think about the problem of opening a cave that Xiaobei mentioned. I'll find someone to look at the geographical environment. If it's feasible, I'll open one. Zhang Xiaobao pointed in the direction of Lingzhou. You took it seriously. Xiaobei's words are full of loopholes. Why wouldn't I take it seriously? I can find someone to correct the mistakes. What a child says isn't necessarily wrong. In China, if a child says that he will find a way to fly, grow a pair of wings, and jump off a cliff, the adults will usually stop him from thinking about it. Outside, even if the adults don't think it's feasible, they will still encourage it. Thus, the first foreigner to fly with artificial gliders appeared, and the first plane appeared in a foreign country. We didn't restrict our younger siblings, so the first child who can grow on his or her own appeared. Okay, you think about yours and I'll write mine. Wang Wan didn't care what Zhang Xiaobao was going to do. Okay, I'll arrange the cloth and food first. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.